Happy football season. At the next round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McCorder, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant Denny or Jordan Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out thebarnauburn.com and covercrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to Fall Saturdays.
From the creators of The Next Round comes two new sites, covercrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. Two team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. Covercrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, e.g., that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
Hang out with the Next Round on the go. Whether you're driving to work, running errands, sitting on the beach, or you just need a break from the real world, we can keep you company. Check out the Next Round, Mystery Fifth Hour, and our other shows on your favorite podcast app. We'll meet you there.
From the creators of The Next Round comes two new sites, covercrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. Two team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. Covercrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
Happy football season. At the next round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McCorder, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant Denny or Jordan Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out thebarnauburn.com and covercrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to Fall Saturdays. Here at the Next Round, we love our guests, especially our 2024 football regulars. Auburn and Alabama fans, we've got your guys. On Mondays at 9:25, we'll be joined by Alabama offensive lineman Tyler Booker, and Tuesdays at 9:25, we chat with Auburn quarterback Peyton Thorne. Join us and rep your team.
Take the Next Round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store. Call the Next Round now at 205-734-0923. Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
We'll get to reaction to Alabama's bowl game loss throughout the show. That'll be a 3-hour topic. In Kalen DeBoer's first year, we'll get a grade later in the show on where you put the first year on replacing the greatest coach of all time. Reaction to the playoff games coming up from yesterday, 2 days ago and yesterday. So 3 games in the book, 1 more to go. NFL, basketball, all that stuff. But we start, though, first our prayers and thoughts to those impacted down in New Orleans, some local ties to the University of Alabama and others, and just the terrorist attack there on Bourbon Street that delayed the Sugar Bowl game to today. It'll go at 3 o'clock Central Time, 4 Eastern, down at the Superdome as they take extra precautionary measures. It was the two teams that requested the game be moved to day kick for two reasons. One, the sitting around the hotel yesterday, not being able to leave the hotel for safety reasons. They wanted to get up, get out, and start moving around today and play the game as soon as possible, not wait until a 7:45 Eastern kick tonight. And the other was for the winner to recover for the next round of games, to have less of a penalty of not playing yesterday. That from the players yesterday. But we just start that whole scene in New Orleans, just a massive chaos and sadness.
Yeah, man, I don't even know what to say. I basically feel like I grew up there, so to speak, because, we used to have this $100 flight, Southwest. It was a 55-minute flight, and me and my ex-wife and friends, we would go over there literally once a month. Like, I can't even count how many times I've been to New Orleans and how many times I've walked up and down Bourbon Street. And just, the sense of celebration, and especially on New Year's Eve. And, sometimes if you wonder why people drive down there at all.
But, you mean just in the city?
Yeah, just in the city. You're like, what a pain in the ass, because they're having to wait.
Then, yeah.
Like the foot traffic always has right of way, always, and it's like nobody's going to give the car, hey, come on in.
Yeah, and
it's like they're always sitting there waiting, but those barriers are always up. Like the barriers going, I don't know if it's north and south or east and west. From Canal, the main streets, the side streets, you can kind of get in and you can maneuver to. But there's a reason they've got those barriers, and that's what blew me away. The initial, when you see, I think he takes the right off of Canal onto Bourbon Street.
Right around a stopped police car.
A couple of them, sedans that were blocking the streets from
but
traffic.
Normally they're those, if you've never been to New Orleans, and I would say the majority of our listeners and viewers have, it's those steel barriers, the rounded, I don't know what the exact shape is, but, they're about 4 feet high, and it's impossible to drive a car through it. And I don't know why those weren't up, and I know that's becoming kind of a universal question.
Yeah, there were reports by some of the media in New Orleans that they had been, and this is before this, that they had done a story about this, is that they were going to be replaced, and they might not be functioning properly. And I mean, hindsight is easy in this situation, but in hindsight, you've got the Super Bowl coming up, you've got a college football playoff game, and you got New Year's Eve. Seems like pre-New Year's Eve would have been the best time to have those done, right? Yeah. I mean, we've been down there.
Yeah, there they are. It's impossible.
Yeah, we've been down there on New Year's Eve before, and it coincided, obviously, at that time. The last time we were down there was,
and that is the corner, by the way, of Canal and Bourbon.
Okay,
because that's a infamous crystal right there on the right.
I've been in that crystal. Last time we were down there, it coincided with a college football playoff game. And that just there's people that are just down there for New Year's Eve just to be down there for New Year's Eve. You throw a college football playoff game, there's a lot of people there. You would think, knowing that we got New Year's Eve, we got college football playoff, and we got the Super Bowl, we're going to be done before New Year's. That's a pretty big 2 months for that city.
Yeah.
And you would think they'd be done by then.
And it doesn't look like something that would take months to do.
No. Yeah. I mean, you could do that overnight, it seems like. And the thing is, man, like, I know there's a lot of different forms of evil in this world, but I don't care what your belief system is. The people that gather in a setting like that, I mean, you're seeing reports of 18-year-old girls.
Yep.
Like, and there's nothing sacred. Like, I've seen...
just like that music festival in Israel.
Yeah.
I mean, that was nothing but pure evil.
It's just pure evil, it is. But, and unfortunately, that exists in our world, and it always will.
Right or wrong, there are some kids that have their first experience of, there are some families that are in New Orleans where, hey, I want to take you out and show you not what I want you to do in 10 years, but this is like real world stuff that's going on in this celebratory festive town that is New Orleans. Yep. And, you got families walking around. I know it's 3 o'clock in the morning, but watching the video of that truck, and I don't know, I'm estimating 70 miles an hour. Maybe you guys have seen.
I've seen. I don't know how to estimate it, but it was too fast, obviously.
I mean, it is absolutely shocking. It's disgusting.
Well, it was scary enough when you thought it was Lone Wolf.
Right.
But then it's
and then they start finding IEDs elsewhere, and they're talking about additional suspects, and you're like, oh my God, this was a coordinated attack.
And that's why a lot of people were like, I can't believe they're postponing this game.
They had to.
You absolutely have to. And back to the timing at 3 o'clock today, look, I mean, this isn't for us, the viewer. This is for the people that are actually there, which, I mean, you got to be a little hesitant about going to the game now, right?
Yeah, they've swept that thing a couple of times.
I know.
They've set up the immediate post 9/11 security system. The multi-tiered security system is now in place today at the Superdome. And the one they will use for the Super Bowl is what they've gone to today, where you've got to go through several checkpoints to get in. They've swept the dome continuously, basically, with the dogs.
Yeah, and that's the thing about delaying it, which I didn't see a ton of criticism. I didn't understand any criticism of delaying it. You had to do it. But that's the thing. If there was a coordinated attack, that attack, everything they had planned on was last night with the security that was in place last night. I mean, if you've done your studies, if you're planning an attack, the security for a Saints game, the security for a Super Bowl that's been there, the security for college football playoff games that have been there. You plan around that. Well, now the agencies have had not quite 24 hours, probably 24 hours or so to, as you say, that security is going to, I think the Superdome might be the most secure place in the world tonight. And so that's why you delay it. You got 24 hours now of more intelligence that you can gather on who might be doing this, and you've got a chance to completely change any sort of plan that they might have had to have a coordinated attack.
We'll get to the games on the field, talk about that game a little bit later on. Reaction to yesterday in the Alabama game here in the first segment. Then Brooks Austin will join us from New Orleans coming up at 9:30. Clay Travis is with us at 10 o'clock. He's got some thoughts on that in the game so far. And then the rest of the show, likely reaction to Alabama's loss and where Alabama football goes from here and the playoffs. The show being brought to you by a couple of our great folks. One of them that brings us the lock every day, our friends at Hemp Hill, lanceslock.com.
Yeah, make the phone call that Birmingham has trusted since 1954 for all of your plumbing, heating, and cooling issues. If you experience any of these in your home or business, call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys there. Tell them the next round sent you. Hard to stop a train, 205-229-2090, hemphillservices.com. Hard to stop a train, 205-229-2090.
And lanceslock.com for the play on the Georgia game today, the Gator Bowl, which has moved to prime time tonight, Ole Miss and Duke. Good basketball tonight, NFL and everything.
Had 2 games yesterday, had freaking Texas.
Oof.
Sorry.
Hey, it looked good.
Boy, that I know they won, but if they lose that game, I would love to know what our conversation is on what type of year it was for Texas.
All I can think about as Texas is completely melting is the fuel he'll get for Sark now.
Oh, my God. It was going to be one of the most head-scratching losses. I can't even imagine what people would be saying today. By the way, the officials wanted Texas winning that game. How they picked up that flag, and I had Texas minus 13.5. I did. But how they picked up that flag on the helmet-to-helmet?
The targeting?
The targeting.
I don't think they even threw a flag on it, did they?
No, it went. I don't think they flagged it.
Yeah. They reviewed it.
They reviewed it.
Yeah, I don't think they flagged it.
Okay, they didn't flag it, but how that's not called targeting is an absolute joke.
Did you think Isaiah Bond, the hit on Bond, was targeting before that?
I did.
I did too. Yeah.
That one got flagged, right, and reviewed and overturned, I think.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, I think that one got overturned.
But this was textbook.
I thought so, too. I mean, it's defenseless receiver.
And Arizona State wins the game.
Contact above the shoulder pads. It was with the face mask. Scott's showing you, we can't show you the live video or the video of it, but Scott's showing you a screenshot. Contact with the helmet above the shoulder pads to a defenseless player. I mean, I think it meets all the criteria.
Believe in conspiracy theories all you want. They didn't want Arizona State in the next round.
But when it's a defenseless player, that doesn't bring in the crown of the helmet.
That is correct. It doesn't have to be crown. Yeah. Every one of the paid analysts on the TV were like, "Yeah, that was targeting." I mean, when it's unanimous like that, it was kind of hard.
I got up. I wasn't watching when they said after further review there is no targeting.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Like I'd already put it in my mind.
I did too.
Like balls at the 38, first and 10. They probably need to pick up 15 yards to be comfortable because they are a little shaky when it comes to kicking.
I don't know if they would have ever been comfortable, but they would have had a realistic shot at a field goal with a little bit more to walk off and win the game. And that brings in the question always, what is called in the first 5 minutes of the game should be called in the final minute of the game. We all agree with that, right? If it's targeting in the first quarter, It should be targeting in the last minute, even if it decides the game.
I'm not willing to go as far as Lance and say it was, we don't want Arizona State to advance, but I do think there is a natural inclination for the officials to say, boy, I don't want to decide the outcome of this game with a call. And you can't do that. I mean, if it's a penalty, it's a penalty, right? I mean, I thought it was clear targeting. All the officiating experts say it was clear targeting. That's a penalty. It doesn't seem like it was a bang-bang call.
Big Ten officials, so they use the Big Ten official replay system, which I don't know what it is. You know, and we all know the SEC, which did the Rose Bowl game. We know how that works, right? That's it's a review that you do with the folks in Birmingham. You get on the set, you got somebody in the stadium, you got the referee, you got the guys in Birmingham, everybody's looking at it. I don't know how the Big Ten does theirs.
They do it a lot quicker because that thing was...
They may have a central center as well, or maybe it's just the officials on the field that make the call.
I think there are centers in Chicago. I've watched Big Ten Network game where I think they actually show inside of them.
Okay, so they've got the same setup as the SEC.
I think so, yeah.
So it wasn't the SEC that screwed that one up for those that think it's only the SEC.
Hey, look, and I know Texas ended up winning, and I don't know. I think outside of you, I think most people don't consider Texas SEC still. They're just not allowing them right now.
It does feel weird. I agree.
There was a couple of reasons why I wanted Texas to win the game. One of them was mybookie.ag. I was following you. I wanted to. 6-1 is the favorites in the playoffs so far. The only one lost was Texas.
Yeah, look, and
everyone else is covered.
Yeah,
I don't know what you guys thought, but so it shouldn't have been. To me, it should have been 7-0 Texas. Like how they didn't block that punt. You saw.
I don't know. Well, the guy pulled back. I mean, it's like he got there and he's, I don't want to touch the ball. Like, dude.
You saw Jeff Banks like, what in the hell? Like, are you scared to block a punt?
I mean, he could have almost tackled the guy before he punted it.
I was like, how did, he didn't even, get a piece of that.
No.
So it goes from, should have been 7-0 to 3-0 Arizona State, and then right off the bat, it's 14-3, and I was like, this is going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, I thought so too.
And then
I thought Scattaboo, man, this guy, he's going to be a non-factor in this game.
But then it's 24-8, and into the fourth quarter, not to start the fourth quarter, into the fourth quarter, it's 24-8. And then Texas went on a series of meltdowns that was almost historic that allowed Scattaboo to really start making an impact. And they get this thing to overtime, had a chance, if they'd been targeting, to win it in regulation. And then you still had them, after you scored in the first overtime, it was 4th and 13.
That's right.
One play to walk it off.
I don't know how you let a guy get behind you in that situation.
Oh, my gosh. Both corner and safety completely blew that coverage.
4th and 13.
I know. And, hey, by the way, excellent throw by Ewers. I mean, we could criticize the defense for letting the guy get behind him, but Ewers threw a seed to the guy.
And before that, we're not
wide open.
Yeah, but
we're not on this point if it's the 4th and 2, the Scattaboo throw. Yeah. And that ball floated forever.
Oh, the fact that it was a bad throw, unless he intended to underthrow him, that helped him. That receiver adjusted to that ball because he was covered by the Texas player, but it was a floating underthrown ball that the guy was able to break off his route and go catch.
I don't know if you guys have ever done this in a game, but I go from all in on Texas, up 16 to, I'm watching with a buddy, and I was like, if they cut this to a one-possession game, I'm completely flipping.
Yeah,
I'm going straight up Sparky.
I even picked Texas to win this whole thing, and I'm like, man, the way Arizona, the heart they're playing with, it's hard not to pull for them.
Yeah.
And Scattaboo, the report from the sidelines guys, vomiting profusely. That was, I think, Taylor McGregor on that sideline said, guys, Cam Scattaboo was just vomiting profusely.
Yeah.
And they were like, we're going to give it to him more now.
Well, he said he drank too much water.
That's what he said.
So if you've ever...
Too much too quick.
Yeah, if you've ever, whether it's water, whether it's beer, if you've guzzled a bunch of beers. And
my stomach gets full, man.
You can hear it sloshing.
Yeah, and those first two reversals, those first two throw-ups, it does seem like there's a gallon of stuff coming out of you at that point.
If Scattaboo, and I think he will play on Sundays, there was a little special, and it talked about Dillingham and your commitment. 3 wins last year. If you really want to play on Sundays, you got to get your body in shape. You got to really focus on a lot of different things, and kind of a story that Brock Hewer told us on Unlocked forever ago. But if he doesn't play on Sundays, that guy you could see him like as a UFC fighter.
Yeah. His thighs are massive, man.
Yeah, I mean, the leverage, he could wrestle, he could grapple.
If Mike Allstott played,
he's going to play.
Allstott's not a Hall of Famer.
No,
maybe in your Ring of Honor, he should be.
Just an unbelievable player for my Buccaneers.
A Hall of Famer.
Yeah. I mean, he's a Buccaneer Hall of Famer. If we've got a Hall of Fame in Tampa, he's a Hall of Famer there. The guy was unbelievable. There are places in football for Mike Allstott, for Cam Scattaboo, and for Ashton Jeanty. I know he didn't have the numbers and they didn't get the win against Penn State, but I think Jeanty is also he proved a lot to me in that game against Penn State. Real quickly, before we talk Ohio State and then talk Alabama in this first segment, before we go to Brooks in New Orleans, show being brought to you by a couple of our great sponsors. One of them is our friends at Storm Restoration Roofing, Greg from Pell City. He'll give you that free no-cost roof inspection he'll get on your roof right now in 2025. Nothing's going to make 2025 suck worse than you're having a roof problem, right? Water coming in or anything else. Greg's the guy that gets up there and says, man, you're good. 3 more years on this roof, 5 more years on this roof, or maybe you need to actually have a roof replacement. He does that. If you get some storm damage, he replaces the roof damage. He does it all for you, and he does you a free, no-cost roof inspection by calling this number, 205-542-3531, 205-542-3531, or Greg from Pell City on Facebook. Also by our friends at JohnsonRVCenter.com.
I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. As the calendar flips, that means we're almost to the RV show season. And that means they've got to clear out the 2024s, make room for the 2025s. You benefit from that. Shasta 16RE, only $145 a month. It's lightweight. You want something bigger, sleeps up to 10. How about the Avenger 29 QBS, $279 a month? Both of those with approved credit. Lifetime warranty from RV Warranty Forever on anything that is new or qualifying pre-owned. You could see more at JohnstonRVCenter.com.
I'll take you back to the Floribama in August. One of my bold predictions was that the Big Ten would be playing each other, Ohio State and Oregon, for the national championship. Nick Saban said this 3 times on the 3-hour pregame show that was College Game Day. I don't understand why Ohio State and Oregon are having to play each other in the quarterfinals. And, McAfee, well, when you're a commissioner, but they were having to play each other in the quarterfinals, not even in the semifinals.
Looked like a quarterfinal game.
It ended up looking like that.
It really did.
But Ohio State, this was the team they paid for. This was this team playing to its potential. 34-0, and just the length of the touchdowns, 45, 43, 45, 66 in the first half, 34-0 at halftime, 41-21 they win it, 8 sacks, just a dominating performance by Ohio State. They dominated Tennessee. This team is in cruise control right now. They look so good.
Yeah, look, I get a lot wrong, but I told you guys before this thing started, I think this is Ohio State's tournament to win. And the way they're playing now, the statement they made against Tennessee and then what they did up 34-0 yesterday, and you give Oregon a little bit of credit because they're able to get the touchdown on the final play of the first half. If they don't get that, it's no telling what this thing ends up. But, man, Ohio State, the way Will Howard's playing right now, the way the defense is playing, to go from getting to Dylan Gabriel 0 times back in October to having 8 sacks, like they were all over him. Dylan Gabriel could do absolutely nothing. When he had a clean pocket and was able to actually get outside of the pocket, he actually played well.
Yeah, but even when Oregon held them 3 and out in the second half there, and the score was 38-15 maybe at the time. Oregon had scored, they held them 3 and out, and you're like, if Oregon can drive here and score, because there's still 10 minutes to go in the third quarter, and Gabriel couldn't get a pass off. Like, Ohio State had not just fallen back into prevent defense and let's just milk the clock. Yeah. They were getting after Gabriel. He couldn't even get a pass off.
Yeah, I'll stick with it, though. I do think Ohio State's got the best defense. Say what you want about Texas, and Texas defense didn't look good in the second half. But I do think Ohio State has the best defense in this thing. And then on the other side, I mentioned this. There were 3 teams going into this round that are still alive that Oregon had played in the regular season. It was Boise State, Penn State, and Ohio State all scored 31+. Like, Oregon statistically had a top 10 defense. I don't think they were, though.
Because in their meaningful games, they give up a lot of points. Yeah. They put those stats up against inferior opponents.
Right, exactly.
I just don't know how it's so impossible to keep this level of play for 4 consecutive games. They've done it twice now. I just don't know that they could keep this level of play for 2 more games. Right now, if I could pick, I'd pick them to win the national championship. Trust me.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, but we've seen it in the NFL postseason before.
That's NFL. That's a little different than college football.
But, I mean, it's set up like that.
I'm just saying, it is hard. I mean, they are playing some of the best football we have ever seen.
Well, now they're going to get Sark. So
the Sark effect is what you're about to tell me.
I mean, really, it is. Yeah. And the Ewers effect. Ewers can be really good, like that throw that you mentioned in overtime.
Yeah.
But, man, Ewers.
No, he struggles.
He really
And
does.
you saw 0 of Arch, by the way. That
I
game.
know. I actually said that in a post-game video. I was like, why no Arch Manning?
Not one snap.
Some of the short yardage, red zone, any of that stuff. All right, to Alabama, which happened before the meaningful games rolled in on the playoffs on not Friday night, but New Year's Eve with a Penn State win. Earlier in the day, Alabama, and what we thought as the show was ending, was going to be a blowout. Bloodbath. They couldn't make it high enough. The rainstorm early, no excuses. Both teams playing in the rain. It's 16-0 at one point. Michigan wins the game 19-13. And later in the show, we'll give Kalen DeBoer a grade and everything. But Alabama, they looked about as bad as you could look in that football
They
game.
look like I thought Michigan was going to look.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Because I got to
Michigan had-
walk-ons. We staggered getting to walk-ons. You were
Yeah.
the first there, and I got there, and I was like, wait, this is how the game was supposed to start.
Yep.
But the other way.
I know. I mean, I could not figure it out.
Well, Michigan had all backups. They had all those first round,
That's
second
right.
round opt-outs.
Yep.
Alabama had all their guys in there.
Yep.
And it just looked like Michigan was more motivated. I don't know
Better prepared.
Better prepared. Just this team this year, the one that some people were fighting to be in the playoffs, they were 22.5-point favorites in a loss to Vandy. They were 14-point favorites in a loss to Oklahoma and 16.5-point favorites in a loss to Michigan. Those are straight-up losses when they were 14 or more point favorites in the game.
I don't know how you explain that.
Yeah, look, this is not hyperbolic at all. I have never in my life seen a player as Jekyll and Hyde in one season as I've ever seen with Jalen Milroe. And you guys can think on this, and our listeners and viewers can think on this, but him at his highest of highs, best quarterback, maybe best player in all of college football, his lowest of lows, he is awful. And he was absolutely awful in that first quarter.
I can't figure it out, Lance. Like, if you look at first half Georgia, even before that, the Wisconsin game, I mean, he made NFL touchdown throws in that Wisconsin game.
That one drive before the half, he made 2 of them.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, he was really good in the Wisconsin game. He was the best he's ever been in the Georgia game, all of the LSU game. And then you've got games like the Tennessee game and the bowl game against Michigan. I mean, I don't get it. Oklahoma. I don't know. Yeah, Oklahoma might have been the worst he played.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can have those games and the other games I mentioned from the same guy. It's baffling to me.
You know, and I said I thought his best route was to come back, a month ago or whatever, and you brought up the fact it takes one to fall in love and the way he's going to basically dominate the combines, which he will. And there's going to be a general manager and coaches that are going to be like, you know what, man, we can make this guy his A game week in, week out. I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't. I don't know what the answer is, because I think at this point, I know there's a million different ways we can take here. Like, if you're another program, would you want Jalen Milroe? If you're Alabama, do you want Jalen Milroe?
Well,
if you're the NFL, do you want Jalen Milroe?
let me show you this. Give me the LT Overton, if you have it, his announcement, okay? LT Overton announces on his Instagram page, the journey towards success that has been paved at Alabama by the guys before me is not over. He basically says, job's not finished. LT Overton's coming back. Alabama fans, blah, 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 blah. If Jalen Milroe made that same exact post today, how would Alabama fans react?
It'd be a meltdown.
Okay, so I didn't watch The West Wing, but who was the guy that came into Martin Sheen and said, look, we got a problem? Like, we have got this.
Who was basically his chief of staff?
Yeah.
Well,
was it Bradley Whitford?
Was it Rob Lowe?
He was one of them. I mean, you had Sam, which was Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
You had Toby, which was
that guy,
the press secretary
the guy with the beard that always.
You had Josh, which was
that's Bradley Whitford, right?
Yeah. And then you had the older guy, who is.
It was Leo McGarry.
Leo McGarry, yeah.
Okay.
He was the chief of staff.
Okay.
He had, he had the office right off of the West Wing.
I mean, hey, Coach, hate to bother you this morning. I know you're still absorbing 4 losses, which took you like 5 years to typically get in a season.
That's that, by the way. As you get into the analogy, he lost 3 games at Washington. He's now lost more at Alabama than he did at Washington.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Hate to put this on your plate, but there is a report that Jalen wants to come back.
Yeah, Courtney Morgan. It would be that guy.
Yeah, Courtney Morgan walks in.
He'd walk in and says, hey, good morning. Hope you guys had some good black-eyed peas and collard greens yesterday, cornbread. Jalen's telling me today he wants to come back.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I said forever ago this ship has sailed.
Change our number.
There is a belief that Kalen might be loyal and wouldn't want to say, hey, you can't come back, you don't have a landing spot. There's no way he can come back with the inconsistencies.
I agree.
I mean, I don't think that there is a landing spot in Tuscaloosa for Jalen Milroe.
I don't think there's a Bama fan out there that wants it, and I'm not sure how many of the Bama coaches would want it, if any.
When we were at walk-ons, I think you had gotten there because it took a long time. When they got their first down, there were Alabama fans clapping.
Yes, at the bar.
On their first down.
Just getting a first down. It was the first one since the first drive. They had one on the first drive, but they went forever without getting another first down.
And you guys help me out. Again, this is crazy because Milroe at his best is one of the best we've ever seen. But I can't remember a more polarizing quarterback for Alabama.
Yeah.
There was that day when it was Zao Watts. But, I don't think either one of those guys.
You just didn't know which one you liked. It wasn't that they were polarizing.
And when they got in there, it wasn't like, oh, damn, what are we going to get today? But, this was the ultimate, spin the wheel.
Yeah. It was. It was crazy. And just typical fans, though, when he went on that one long run down 16-0, they're like, go, yeah,
they're going to cheer for him when he makes a good play.
I do think one of the quarterbacks that we've seen over the last few years that is it's feast or famine is kind of Jameis Winston. Yeah. Jameis can go out and have 4 touchdowns. He can go out and have 5 interceptions.
Yeah, 3 of those is pick sixes.
Yeah. And I think that's probably what you're going to get with Jalen Milroe. And I don't think Jalen Milroe is going to be as good as Jameis.
Okay, Jalen is going to make an announcement at some point. Could be today. We'll find out about his future as soon as he drops that. Think about this later on. We'll get back to Alabama throughout the show as well. But later on, do you think there's that a little bit of that love-hate relationship going on with Quinn Ewers and Texas fans right now? Think about that later on. We'll have that discussion too. Much more Alabama stuff coming up. We're going to talk to our buddy Brooks Austin, who joins us from the site of Georgia and Notre Dame today down in New Orleans. We'll pick his brain on what we should expect in that game today, and maybe his thoughts on what we didn't see from Alabama in their bowl game and everything else that's happened. That's coming up on the show that's being brought to you today by our friends at Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living. Boy, they've got their work cut out for me after the New Year's Eve. We had red beans and rice, homemade, man, with a big ham hock in that thing. It was so good. And then Maggie did the black-eyed peas and collard greens with a big ham hock in the middle of that thing yesterday, and the best cornbread I've ever tasted. But I'll get right back on my Way to Wellness plan, aplanforme.com. No contracts, no sign-up fees. The first consultation's free, meal replacements. You also have the injection therapies and so much more. It's Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living.
Follow Dunaway on Twitter and Instagram @JimDunaway.
Looking for a great place for that boring meeting? Leave the office and go to the Golfus. What about corporate events like board meetings, sales meetings, customer appreciation events? How about the Golfus? Watch parties for football and basketball, parties for birthdays or couple showers. The Golfus is a great place for those. The Golfus has Birmingham's best golf simulators and man caves in Vestavia on Highway 31, opening soon in Trussville and on Highway 280. Bring whatever you want to eat or drink, even bring your own clubs. Get out of the office. Go to the Golfus. Book your spot now at thegolfus.com. Looking for a great place for that boring meeting? Leave the office and go to the Golfus. What about corporate events like board meetings, sales meetings, customer appreciation events? How about the Golfus? Watch parties for football and basketball, parties for birthdays or couple showers. The Golfus is a great place for those. The Golfus has Birmingham's best golf simulators and man caves in Vestavia on Highway 31, opening soon in Trussville and on Highway 280. Bring whatever you want to eat or drink, even bring your own clubs. Get out of the office. Go to the Golfus. Book your spot now at thegolfus.com.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, CoverCrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on the Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Done away, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of done away is standing by ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, CoverCrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on the Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
I think it was person for person the best looking people ever in a bar per capita.
Well, we were there.
Yeah, I brought it down actually. All right, this is show number 858 today, and we're going to bring back one of our favorites new to the show in 2024. So let's start 2025 off. We'll let him be our first guest.
Oh, how about that? First guest of 2025 is Brooks Austin, the film guy. What is up, Brooks? How are you?
How about that? Popping a bottle with Brooks Austin. That's pretty cool. I feel honored, gentlemen. I feel honored.
As you should. Brooks is in New Orleans, as you see the skyline behind him. Look, we love talking football with Brooks. There are stories other than football going on in New Orleans, but I know, Brooks, it's been an exhausting, emotional 24 hours for you. We're not going to belabor the point on any of that. Before we, though, get to the games, I will just say, what does the feel like? Change date, change time, all that's going on. I mean, just what's the general feel?
Relatively somber, I think is the right word. Somber, just kind of like not empty, but people walk around relatively quiet when they see each other and see one another out in public. I do expect not an empty stadium, but a not full capacity football stadium. Walk around Caesars last night here in New Orleans, it was very obvious. You talked to a couple Georgia fans, you talked to a couple Notre Dame fans. It wasn't the ones who drove here that are having problems moving their, logistics around and getting back home. It's those who booked flights and trying to move flights around. So if you drove out here like I did, extending the stay was no problem. If you flew out here, trying to get your plane your plane ticket changed is a little bit more difficult. So I have spoke to a lot of people, yesterday and this morning that unfortunately are going to have to miss this football game because they weren't able to move their flights.
This playoff has been all chalk outside of the Texas meltdown yesterday, and this game is a virtual pick now, and a lot of that is Gunnar Stockton. Yeah. Now, Kirby Smart's 6-2 in the college football playoffs. It's a different Georgia team, though. The defense isn't as dominant as it has been. It's a unit that goes for their fewest rushing yards over the last decade in Georgia, and now they're playing a Notre Dame team that looks like it kind of belongs. If Carson Beck was starting this game, would it have a different feel?
Honestly, I think, and this is going to sound crazy, the passing department would be much, much more favorable and formidable with Carson. We all know that. Everyone that watches football can see that. I mean, he's an NFL processor at the position, but man, you talking about running the ball and playing defense. I think that's what's going to be required to win this football game. And even in that Texas matchup, you saw in the second half, Georgia's traditional run game opened up tremendously in that second half because of the at least willingness and threat of a potential quarterback run off the backside of a lot of these zone reads, which Georgia is a zone football team. That's what they run. Their base plays are inside zone plays. So for the last 2 years, those backside edge defenders have been able to run to the football free, right, and do so phased by a quarterback. Well, now they're going to be held responsible out of that backside. So I think some of these front side runs for Georgia, at least against Texas, who I believe is the best defense in the country, are going to open up a little bit more now that Gunner's going to be there. So I think it's a little bit more formidable in terms of hey, we got to run the ball and play defense against a football team in Notre Dame who's probably got the same recipe for success.
Kirby Smart actually said this team is built like an SEC team. When you watch the tape guy, are they built like an SEC team?
They look like Georgia. That's what I've been telling my folks all week. I mean, and people think like Notre Dame, they don't play nobody, whatever. I mean, part of my job is covering recruiting. And if you cover Notre Dame, or if you cover recruiting, you'll know that Notre Dame is a blue chip roster, what we would deem as a blue chip roster. As long as I have paid attention to recruiting, Notre Dame has finished inside the top 12. That's what they do. So, like, NIL included, like, even when that era came around in college football, Notre Dame is perennially, enlisted in that top 12 of the recruiting rankings. Now, are they a top 5 roster in this sport? No, not normally. Those are more resided for the Alabama, Georgias, Ohio States, Oregons of the world. But, man, are they well coached? And here's the most important thing for me, and in college football in general, those SOBs play hard, boys. They play hard through the echo of the whistle, and they play right. They are gap sound and fundamentally sound on both sides of the football. So when you go against the Notre Dame football team, you're going to face a top 12 roster that you're going to have to beat. They're not going to beat themselves. So I expect a really, really good football game from both these teams, which if you look at them, if you describe their identity as a football team, you would probably have a lot of similar traits for both of these teams.
If I can, just follow up real quickly, the difference between top 5 roster and top 12 where they are usually, is that just skill positions on offense usually? Is that where the separation is? Because offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, they're still pretty good there, right?
I mean, normally the separation between like a top 5 roster and a top 12 roster are how many 5 stars and like top 50 players you're signing. It could be scattered all across the board. Like Georgia's doing it top 5 perennially with offensive line, defensive line, safeties, linebackers, and a couple of good running backs, right? Ohio State's doing that with quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, skill position players, and maybe an edge rusher or two. You follow me? Yeah. Like your roster strategy might be different across the board, but Notre Dame's just finishing up instead of signing, 15 guys inside the top 100, maybe they're signing 12, and that's why they're finishing top 12 instead of inside that top 5. It's just a different echelon of upper tier recruiting.
Brooks Austin is with us, the film guy at Brooks Austin BA on social media. Go to his YouTube channel as well, and make sure you subscribe and set your alerts so you know when he drops content there. The Film Guy Network on YouTube, the Film Guy Network. He is in New Orleans on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. This has not been a traditional Kirby Smart rush defense. They're mid-tier in the SEC. I was just looking before you came on down the roster of backs they faced. Jarquez Hunter from Auburn, Dylan Sampson from Tennessee. The guys at Alabama, the guys at Texas. Jeremiah Love is among, if not the best backs that Georgia will have faced this year.
Yeah, I've been talking to a few folks down here that cover Notre Dame. I don't know if he's 100% healthy, both in physicality and wellness. I think there's some sickness that's going on there. I also think he was relatively banged up coming out of Indiana. So if you had to make me do it, I'm probably like an 85% Jeremiah Love today. But even if you get 100% Jeremiah Love, that's not a guy that they're going to give 25 totes to. Like, he's not a bell cow workhorse type dude. He's an explosive, dynamite, firecracker type guy. And he's guaranteed to get one of those types of football plays in this game, but I expect him to be relatively banged up. But no, man, they can run the football. And you mentioned Georgia's struggles. It's not just, teams can run the ball against these guys. No, No, you got to have a quarterback that's a factor in the run game. If you've got that, you can go for about 250 against these boys this year. That's what the facts have been. Alabama can run the football with the quarterback. They got loose on these boys. Hell, UMass got loose on these boys with quarterback run this year. So Georgia Tech followed it up the next week with 250 plus on the ground via the quarterback run. Then they see Texas the next week, and Texas is like, all right, we're going to give it to Wisner 20 times today. No, you're not. Not against Georgia. If it's just the running back, they're going to box you up. But if you can use the quarterback's legs, like Riley Leonard certainly can, and Notre Dame certainly can, you can have some success. There's no doubt about that, at least this year.
Well, on the other side, too, we talk about this Notre Dame defense. And look, and I think that it's one of the best defenses in college football, but I can't get over going back to the USC game. They gave up 557 against Trojans. 2 pick sixes late kind of expanded that. If you didn't watch the game, it looked like it got out of whack. But, man, that game was coming down to the wire. Was that just an outlier, you think, for this Notre Dame defense?
Well, they're starting nose tackle preseason All-American Howard Cross was out for that football game. So when you give up 250 on the ground, not having your only 300-pound starter at the nose tackle position might be a little bit of the reason why. However, I think most of the yardage in that football game they were creating creases. They can get moved now. This isn't a huge Notre Dame defensive line, and they lost Riley Mills, their starting defensive tackle, who I would argue is their best run defender, and he leads the team in sacks. But this is a 6'6", 295-pound, 3-tech who plays with a tremendous amount of high effort and intensity, and is their team captain. They're going to play without that guy today, so we'll see. I expect there to be some run game, open it up. But guys, when I watched that USC football game on tape, I was like, all right, I expect Lincoln to get loose on this guy, because this defensive coordinator now, Golden, guess what he's going to do, boys? He's going to line up for 95% of the snaps today, and he's going to play man-to-man defense. So he's going to get in your face, and he's going to try to cover you. And if you can create man-to-man beaters, right, if we can create meshes, rubs, picks, all those different things, you can create explosive plays. And that's kind of Lincoln's bag, to be honest with you. So I expect Mike Bobo. I put it at the feet of Mike Bobo, as I did Kirk Cignetti against Indiana. How many different man beaters can you design? That's your job as an offensive coordinator, not asking your guys to go win one-on-ones, giving them plays that create one-on-one winners for them.
I don't even know if you watched the game in its entirety, because it wasn't a playoff game, but were you surprised by the outcome of the Alabama-Michigan game?
Don't test my hustle, man. Don't test my hustle, man.
Of course he watched it.
I am tremendously surprised. First of all, do you have any under center formations? Why are we in the shotgun in a torrential downpour in our own end? That's my first question. The other thing, where is like the general progression of Jalen Milroe? And I guess you could put it on him, but like the whole reason Michael Penix chose, Kalen DeBoer 2 times over at Indiana and Washington was because that guy obviously progressed his mind and progressed his game as a football player. If you watch Michael Penix play right now, accuracy might be a problem. He is missing some throws. But by God, if that sucker ain't clicking through his reads day one when he went into the NFL. If there is anything we know about Michael Penix, it's that he's really, really talented. But damn if he don't know the game of football and be able to process it, pick it, and read it. Now, that might be just innate of Michael Penix. That might just be Michael Penix. But where did that progression happen at all for Jalen Milroe? And I have that question kind of across the board with the roster. Like how hard are they practicing? How consistently well are they practicing? How consistently well are they game planning every single week? Like, I think this up and down trajectory that you have as a football program, like you guys mentioned it earlier, 3 losses to teams in which you were favored by more than 14 points. That's lack of consistency within the building, man. That's all of that across the board. Those are my biggest questions about what happened this year, what went down this year for Alabama.
As Darren says in the MyBookie.ag chat room, Brooks is a certified ball knower. Of course he was watching the game.
Of course he was watching the game.
The Film Guy Network on YouTube. The Film Guy Network. Go subscribe, set your alerts so you know when he drops content. At Brooks Alston, BA. He's headed over to the Superdome for this afternoon's Georgia Notre Dame college football quarterfinal playoff game. Glad you were safe, Brooks. Enjoy the game. We'll talk again soon.
Y'all boys be good. Have a good one.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Brooks with us on the Johnston RVCenter.com hotline.
Yeah, and the show being brought to you today by our friend Dr. B, making LT's hair under that slick-looking Sun Devil hat. Looking fantastic.
Yeah, Dr. B pioneered the use of neograft hair restoration right here in Alabama, remains at the forefront of hair preservation in the Southeast. He takes pride in treating each patient Personally, applying that expertise to produce those quality results for more than 20 years, women and men have turned to Dr. Beckenstein for a range of cosmetic and reconstructive procedures. He will use that experience, his advanced training and genetic testing to help his patients fully understand the procedures they are considering. Call Dr. B today. Tell him the Next Round sent you. Schedule that consultation, 205-319-0316. I do that non-invasive treatment 3 times a week, 30 minutes each time on the couch. My hair is more than doubled in thickness. If you want to be preemptive, you want to maintain, you want to grow some back, Dr. B is the answer. For more information, t3hair.net.
Kalen DeBoer, after the ReliaQuest Bowl loss, gets asked the question, did you ever consider putting Ty Simpson in at quarterback? Here is Kalen DeBoer.
No, I didn't. I just felt like, I mean, there's things that he still did. We scored a field goal, with him using his legs. We went 95 plus yards in less than a minute, and so just that factor and what we needed with him and his mobility added to the run game, I felt like that was, the swap right there. So, I mean, the interception early, and you want a lot of those incompletions happened in down at distances that weren't favorable, or backs to the wall and have to throw the ball at the end of the first half, at the end of the second here. So I know that gets away from you from the completion percentage, but I thought there were still a lot of good plays that he made too, and I saw, I guess, a fighter, the fight in his eyes, and as long as I see that, I want to hang in there with the guys that this program means a lot to.
I want to say this first. Alabama struggles to run the ball in a traditional run set as well.
All year.
And they've done that all year. I think they struggled a little bit last year to do that as well. It's been a while since they've been able to line it up like they used to do in the A.J. McCarron, Barrett Jones days and get a yard anytime they want a yard, get 3 yards anytime they want 3 yards. That being said, is there a possibility that because it was his first year, Kalen DeBoer, following the greatest coach of all time, that he has this sense, maybe too much sense of loyalty to the captains, to these guys in the team, because they stuck with him as the new coach, that it'll be different moving forward. Maybe he'll have a harder edge on pulling people from games and replacing them.
So we discussed this a couple months ago. I can't remember which game it was going into. And Little T sent the video out, and a lot of people in Tuscaloosa contacted us and y'all are wrong. That is not why Milroe is playing. There's no sense of loyalty. We were simply responding to a question we were asked in the chat room that day, the mybookie.ag chat room. And I think a lot of people in Tuscaloosa thought we were saying the only reason Milroe is playing is out of a sense of loyalty. No, we were responding to a question was asked. But I remember that video going out, and I remember what was included in that video because I said this. Nick Saban did the same thing. So, I think Nick Saban was loyal far too long with Jalen Hurts, a different Jalen Hurts, when it was obvious Tua Tagovailoa was the better quarterback. But Jalen Hurts had done a lot for your program, Lance, and he had brought you a long way.
And we don't know anything about Ty Simpson.
That's right.
Other than what you hear from practice.
Right.
Yeah, we knew about Tua Tagovailoa when he came in mop-up duty because Alabama was so dominant.
Yeah.
There was a lot of mop-up duty, Lance. It was different football.
Well, look, I do think Kalen DeBoer is a loyal guy, and I think we all agree Jalen Milroe is not his traditional quarterback. When you look at other quarterbacks that have played from Kalen DeBoer, from Jake Haener to Michael Penix Jr., and the interesting thing about the run game, I can't explain that. Because if you go back last year to a Washington team that played for the national championship, Dylan Johnson was a 1,000-plus yard rushing guy. I mean, they ran the ball 411 times last year and threw it 574. It wasn't a major discrepancy in throwing the football and running the football. They effectively ran the football.
Alabama fans can fact check me on this. I don't believe Alabama's run game has been dominant since Bryce Young took over as quarterback. I don't know if it's style of play or what. It was still pretty dominant under Tua. But with Bryce Young at quarterback, the 2 years with Bryce and the 2 with Jalen Milroe, and those are 2 very different quarterbacks there. Bryce wasn't a run guy. They haven't been able to dominate, and they've had this perception of a really good offensive line. I mean, Tyler Booker will go in the first round. I don't understand how Alabama can't have a traditional run game, which would take the heat off the quarterback, whomever it is.
Yeah, look, and I don't know, loyalty, keeping guys in there too long. I am blown away with the talent on this roster where Alabama is right now. It just always seemed out of sync a little bit. And sometimes really, really out of sync. And, that's what we saw 2 days ago.
Some people go play calling. Some people, just a first-year coach, a transition, a new staff and everything. That happens. That happens in places. And, my closest friends are Auburn fans. They're like, I can't believe the bitching and moaning from Alabama fans over going 9-4.
Well, I mean, they're used to it had been 16 years.
9-4, that's an embarrassing year.
It had been 16 years.
Based on Kalen DeBoer's resume, Alabama, what was there? I know there's a lot of people lost in the portal. That happens year in, year out at all these major programs. But the talent that he had on that roster, and for them to go 9-4 is an embarrassment.
Yeah, I think, Jim, 2015 was the last. I'm trying to confirm this, but I'm going to run out of time here. I think 2015 was the last year Alabama led the conference in rushing. Since then, that was the Derrick Henry Heisman year when he himself had 2,000 rush yards.
That's right.
Since then, Alabama finished second the next year, third, seventh, sixth, fourth in 2020, which was a dominant offensive team, 10th in 21, and you're about to see a trend here, 7th in 22, 6th in 23, and this year Alabama's rushing offense is 6th. They've been a mid-tier rush offense in the SEC for a good 5 years now.
Yeah.
This is nothing new under Kalen DeBoer.
But the last 2 years has been because of Jalen Milroe's runs.
That has been their leading rusher the last 2 years, I believe. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And that's not your traditional run game. So that is part of the problem to me that we don't talk enough about. It seems to be everybody focuses on Jalen Milroe for his 2 years in Tuscaloosa, SEC champion last year. But to me, having a run game also helps you at quarterback, a traditional run game. Well, Justice Haynes has left to go to Michigan because he wants to be part of a traditional run game. They got to get back to being able to run the football too.
Well, and going back to a conversation we had a couple of days ago, this Alabama defense only gave up less than 17 points per game. Right at it against Michigan, 19 points. A lot of that was short field first quarter where it was 16-0 before you could blink. This defense has played good enough to still be playing meaningful football now.
That's the crazy thing. Like Alabama's defense, I thought was pretty lights out.
Yeah.
I mean,
other than the Vandy game.
No. I mean, it's against Michigan.
Yeah.
Other than the Vandy, they had some other moments, but the Vandy game was the worst. But against Michigan, Lance, the entire first quarter was played in Alabama territory. I mean, Alabama kept giving Michigan the ball in scoring position, and Alabama.
And I don't know what you guys felt when it was 16-10 half. I was like, and looking at the number, Alabama was 11.5-point favorite in the second half at mybookie.ag. I was like, damn, they're going to give this a run. I don't think they're going to be able to cover because they're so behind the 8 ball, but they're going to give it a run.
Yeah, they were going to win the game.
Yeah, wins.
There was no doubt they were winning the game. And then the offense just completely back in a shell.
Yeah. And then to get bogged down in the red zone there at the end, you've done all that bad, and you get the ball with a chance to win, and you drive down, and everything is in your favor at that point.
First down at the 15, and it seemed like the next 4 plays were into the end zone.
First down at the 15, the clock now is 100% in your favor. Like if you get another first down, Michigan's going to have to start using timeouts. You've got the clock in your favor now. You've got field position in your favor. You've got the game. You're controlling the end of the game, and they just completely bog down inside the 20.
You got plenty of time at that point, a little over a minute, and all your timeouts.
Minutes, no issue. Time's no issue there.
So, you could have done a quarterback draw.
Anything you want. Yep.
Yeah, a little dump off to a back out of the backfield, something underneath to a tight end, but it seemed like everything was touchdown or not. It's a frustrating year.
And that'll be the thing on Kalen DeBoer is, do you have the same staff you've got? I mean, it was not his original plan to have Sheridan calling plays. I'm not saying he's going to fire Sheridan, but I'm going to say that was not plan A on day one.
Yeah, he wanted him on his coaching staff. He was not supposed to be offensive coordinator.
Grubb was going to be offensive coordinator until Grubb decided to go back to Seattle, which I don't know where that stands right now.
Don't be surprised. Like Seattle's playing this weekend in LA, but their season is obviously over. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some conversations.
Yeah, I mean, now that would be, I think, Alabama fans, whether it's Sheridan's fault or not. I'm not saying this is all Sheridan's fault.
I would imagine the mybookie.ag chat room in front of you, a lot of people point to Sheridan's play calling.
Yeah, I mean, they're not pleased with it, no. But again, that may not be all his fault. Sometimes you're hamstrung at play calling by personnel, right? I am saying, and boy, you saw some frustration out of Ryan Williams for a young guy.
Oh, Jeremy Bernard, the whole game.
Bernard he probably had 3 touchdowns
the whole
in
game.
the bowl game. Yeah, the whole game. Every time they would show a replay, Bernard is wide open.
Oh, and Brock Osweiler every time is like, I don't understand what Jalen Milroe is looking at here. Look at Bernard here. He's going across, and if you just look at him, he's wide open.
Yeah,
it's an easy throw.
And say what you want about Will Howard. Beautiful throws yesterday. Jalen Milroe should be a better quarterback right now than Will Howard.
I agree.
And he's not.
He's not. But what I was going to say is, even if it's not all Sheridan's fault, if you told Alabama fans, Ryan Grubb plus new quarterback, I think Alabama fans would flush a lot of what happened this year and be excited about next year based on that.
Yeah, but I was talking to an LSU fan yesterday, and he's like, if we don't get to the college football playoff next year, Brian Kelly's done. And I was like, I don't really have a problem with that. That's 4 years.
Should be. Yeah, I think he should be. I agree.
And I think Kalen is going to have some serious issues if he doesn't get to a college football playoff next year.
I do.
I know that sounds insane, but
and we got plenty of time to talk about that. We don't have to do this now, but I do wonder if Womack has done enough where Alabama fans are like, okay, I feel okay about him.
Oh, I think they do. I don't know.
I mean, I thought that defense got better as the year went, and it ended up, I would say, over the last month being Alabama's best unit.
Yeah, that's the guy on the hot seat right there, Kalen DeBoer.
Right.
Yeah. The guy that I campaigned for, and I still think is a hell of a coach. I think it's been an extremely strange year.
I don't think he's on a hot seat, though.
Well, okay, so if we come back, though, and in 365 days, they're 9-4 again?
Then he's on the hot seat.
Yeah, for the next year.
For the
upcoming year.
Yeah. No, he can't. There's nothing that he can do to get.
I would not think so.
And I would also say financially, the hot seat, the fans' hot seats and the reality of hot seats in athletic departments change on July the 1st. In my opinion, that changes.
Well, you're right,
the amount of money that's having to be spent.
Yeah. But Texas A&M kind of changed that for a lot of people.
They did.
Clay Travis at the top of the hour. Before we get there, Kalen DeBoer right here, cut number 2. Kalen being asked whether he considered this season to be successful. Here's Kalen DeBoer.
I mean, every locker room and you have something like this, it's disappointing. But I think there's a lot of things that you take from it, and I mean, I know that the guys that hung in there that probably played their last game in the crimson and white, they wouldn't have had it any other way, as far as to show the grit, show the determination, to show the competitiveness. They stayed the course. There's a whole lot more. I just think that really goes into the last 12 months. People see what happens on a Saturday, but it's guys choosing to stay here, guys choosing to go from one week to the next, when you're on a little bit of a roller coaster through the middle of the season. And as long as we learn from it, then it can be a success moving forward. We're going to take all these things that happened, and there's some things that happened in the game today too that we got to learn from and make sure that those mistakes don't hurt us a year from now.
Yeah, I would say this. The portal closed for most of college football. It's 5 days after your final game for those that are playing on December 31st. So there's still a few days left for any Alabama star that wanted to hit the portal. Now, Ryan Williams looked into the camera of ABC 3340 as he was walking to the bus and said, "Till I die, Alabama, till I die," which would make a lot of Alabama fans feel comfortable.
A lot of people say that when they do their vows.
You had weird vows. Till I die?
Till death do us part.
Death do us part.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying.
Different phrasing.
Yeah,
different phrasing.
We're in the same arena.
Yeah. 5 days. When that closes, then you sort of know who you got, at least through spring football and portal work's happening, rebuilding this team. I say you wait and you judge this guy starting next year.
Okay.
Starting next year. Because he had to play some of these guys.
Yeah, I don't. I love Kalen DeBoer, but you got paid the money you got paid this year. So I'm going to judge you this year. I am not going to say that this is going to be when you look at Kalen DeBoer and you look at his already resume. This shouldn't be the highlight of his resume. I think that there are other things that I would say, as disappointing as this was for Alabama fans, what he did at Washington would be what I would circle right now.
25-3 at Washington. He's already got more losses at Alabama, 9-4 this year. But now he's able to construct this roster the way he wants to. Not that the roster was not one of the best in college football. It absolutely was. But now it's his roster moving forward, and we'll see what it looks like as they move forward in the ins and outs and the goings and comings over the next few days. When we come back, we'll talk to Clay Travis. This is the next round.
Call the next round now at 205-734-0923.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. I mean, where else are the scenic views as good as your view of the game? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Let's face it, a home is one of the most powerful assets you can have, and our friends at Mortgage Right want to help you build wealth through home ownership. Mortgage Right is all about providing competitive rates, a variety of loan products, and a multitude of resources for a seamless home buying experience. They treat their borrowers like family and are always looking to bring more happy homeowners under their roof. See more by visiting mortgageright.com/TNR today and start living. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239, equal housing lender. Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
Happy football season. At the next round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant Denny or Jordan Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out thebarnauburn.com and covercrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to fall Saturdays.
From the creators of The Next Round comes two new sites, covercrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. Two team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. Covercrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Done away, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Done Away is standing by ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
Want more of the show? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast, The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, The Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Clay Travis will join us here momentarily. You want some, as I was getting you guys to help me spell Revelation, the book of the Bible, some New World Order Revelation stuff. Conor O'Gara tweets this out.
I wondered why you were asking how to spell Revelation.
Conor O'Gara tweets this out. We will either have a 2-loss national champion,
okay,
or a 1-loss Notre Dame team as national champion that lost to Northern Illinois.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a 2-loss Ohio State team that lost to a 7-win Michigan team, 2-loss Texas team that lost twice to Georgia, a 2-loss Georgia team that got beat by Alabama and Ole Miss, or you're going to have 1-loss Notre Dame that has, or 2-loss Penn State, or 1-loss Notre Dame and lost to Northern Illinois. It's crazy.
Take all the shots you want at the 12-team playoff. Ohio State would not have been in a 14 playoff, and they are obviously playing the best football in America.
And
right
I was
now.
going to bring up, I think if Ohio State, which I think they will end up winning this thing, and I think they're going to end up winning it going away, then I think we'll look back and be like, oh, yeah, they looked worthy of a national champion. If somebody else wins this, if Texas somehow grinds this thing out, if Notre Dame or Georgia grinds it out, to me, we're going to be looking at one of the worst national champions that we've looked at in a long time.
Well, I mean, I think it's just the way we have to look at it now, the college football world. I mean, I don't know if national champions will ever look the same again. We'll talk to Clay Travis about that.
Yeah, Clay is with us now, the founder of Outkick, at Clay Travis on social media. Happy New Year, Clay. Hope you're doing well.
Happy New Year to you guys. Doing great.
I did like what Clay said. He was like, I feel better about Tennessee now after watching Ohio State over Oregon.
I want everybody to apologize to me who ripped Tennessee. They looked better than Oregon did. They had to go on the road at Columbus. So, I mean, in all honesty, Tennessee's probably the 5th or 6th best team in the country. They just happened to draw Ohio State, who may be the best team in the country, at least when they're playing on the level that they do now. I mean, they've got 3 NFL receivers, and Howard is finally making plays, and to their credit, they're finally throwing plays. And I think one of the most interesting things about this is, what is Jeremiah Smith worth?
I said this earlier, Clay, and Dunaway and I were talking in a break. If he came out, he would be the number 1 overall pick. You can say what you want about Travis Hunter. Jeremiah Smith would be the number 1 guy.
And I don't think, Clay, legally we can keep him in school anymore.
Okay, say that again.
That legally you don't think they can keep him in school?
Yeah, I don't think they can keep him in school anymore. I think if that went to court and the NFL tried to keep him out of, it's an NFL decision. I don't think the NFL would win that today.
Well, so here's why I think they would win. But, it's interesting because I'm going to write on this at some point in the next few days. But think about where we've gone in college football. We've gone from Maurice Clarett and Michael Williams, I think it was, the wide receiver back in the day at SC.
Yep.
You guys may remember him.
Yep.
Both suing to get into the NFL earlier. And now Diego Pavia is suing to not have to go to the NFL earlier because there is so much more money in college football for a lot of these guys. A lot of dudes are going to make more money playing college football than they can in the NFL. And the reason why the NFL restrictions are allowed, because they have a collective bargaining agreement. And there is no collective bargaining agreement in college football, which means effectively all of these guys are essentially independent contractors. And any attempt to restrict how much they make is seen as collusion, antitrust, restraint of trade. So I actually think what's interesting here is you've got a lot of guys making, $600,000-$700,000, whatever. I actually think there's maybe 10 guys, $10 million a year, and a lot of guys that are getting overpaid because people are kind of panicked. But it brings me to Jeremiah Smith. I think it would be crazy if somebody out there didn't offer him $5 million a year for the next 2 years, $10 million total. He would be, I agree with LT. I think he would be the number 1 overall pick if he could come out this year. He's worth at least $5 million a year to the right program that's willing to pay him. Like if you told me right now, hey, you can pay 5 guys $1 million each, or you can give him $5 million, I think he's so much better. It's like the NFL draft, like the top 10 picks make more than, the next 100 picks do combined, right? There is a slotted scale where the very top get paid way more. That's life in general. Joe Rogan makes a lot more money than your somewhat successful podcaster does out there. This is the world we live in. The superstar effect is real. And I think Jeremiah Smith's superstar. I think he's worth legit 8 figures for the next 2 years.
So, Clay, a lot of different directions we can go on the Peach Bowl with Texas and Arizona State. But first, I don't watch the news. And so, they were still gathering all this information on what was going on in New Orleans. But, like, for the first, half of that game, they didn't even really mention what was going on with Georgia and Notre Dame. I was just a little confused, and I was having to go to Twitter to try to figure out what was going on. Were you a little surprised there wasn't more coverage of what was going on in New Orleans?
I thought they bungled it, especially because they had Laura Rutledge, who you guys know well, smart, talented girl who's one of their top people, on ABC News talking about the news. So I'm like, well, wait a minute. If you can put her on ABC News, why can't you break in and have her say the same thing during the broadcast? And so I think that they were afraid of being in front of the story. But if you're going to allow your employees to go on and break news on ABC about the Sugar Bowl being postponed, to me, you should be doing that on ESPN too. There shouldn't be a rule for news for ESPN different than the rule for news for ABC News, right? That's just kind of my general perspective on that. So I thought they handled that poorly. Now, once they announced it, I thought Joe Tessitore did a good job because it was a terror attack. And look, I bet, I know you have, LT, and I bet Dunaway has. Maybe not you, Ryan. I've been out on Bourbon Street at 3 a.m.
Oh, I've been out late on Bourbon Street. I know I've. Okay, yes.
I didn't know if you made it till 3 a.m.
Yeah, 3 might be a bit deep for me, but I might have seen 3 a.m. Central Time.
It may stun some of you, but when I have been out at 3 a.m. on Bourbon Street, I have not been in control of my faculties in a full way. I think it's fair to say. The fact that guy, I don't know if you saw those the videos.
Horrifying.
The fact that guy did what he did is, again, this is me getting on my soapbox, but I think there's an Alabama kid who's dead, right? Like a 19-year-old.
Yeah, it's been reported an Alabama student has passed, unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, these are, and I know a lot of these kids were not SEC kids, but my show is going to start here in about an hour, and this is what I'm opening with, and then I'm going to talk about it on Outkick too. When you chant, as many college kids did, globalize the Intifada, and you go out, and I just got back from Israel, so obviously I've seen what globalize the Intifada looks like when it comes to the kibbutzes in Israel and all of the attacks that killed over 1,200 innocent Jewish people. This is what you're saying you want. You want for people to engage in murderous acts because they believe America's evil and that in some way their bastardized version of Islam needs to be validated. And so all these knucklehead, idiot college kids that were walking around on their college campuses wearing keffiyehs and chanting in support of Hamas in Palestine, and even in New York City on 6th Avenue, they had a rally yesterday where people were chanting "Globalize the Intifada" in the immediate aftermath of 15 people being killed and the car blowing up in Las Vegas. I'm sorry, like, you're wrong, and worse than being wrong, you're supporting evil. And I worry in general about the trajectory of the country. When it's one thing, look, if people want to tell me that I'm an idiot because I think we should have lower taxes, or if they want to tell me I'm an idiot because I think that many government programs don't make a lot of sense and I'd rather they be curtailed, like, whatever, you can come after me for that, right? But the fact that anyone would argue in favor of anyone associated with Hamas or Hezbollah or be chanting from the river to the sea and chanting "Globalize the Intifada," and that they'd be doing it at some of the smartest, in theory, colleges and university campuses in America, this is what that looks like. This is what that looks like, college kids. You're standing on Bourbon Street at 3:15 with a drink in your hand, having an awesome time with your friends, and the next thing you know, a madman drives over you and kills you because he believes that your country is evil. That's what it looks like. So I hope some of these people are having some sort of jaw-dropping reality where they recognize that this Disney-fied version of insanity that they've bought into, where there's good and evil, and they're actually supporting good. Actually, you're on the side of evil, and it's important to recognize it. And you should, I think, have to, as you age, it's scary to me how many young people just have lost the ability to distinguish between good and evil. And certainly, I feel awful for that kid.
Sadly, it takes sometimes something like this to rattle the cage, to make you rethink things like that. When you've been brainwashed one way, sometimes something like this can jar you out of it.
I hope, but but yeah, look, I think anybody who lived through 9/11, there's a lot of people today who would be in the wake of 9/11 saying we deserved it. And again, this is something that I think, it stinks for it to take over part of the fun of a college football, January 1 game day, when so many of us are excited to sit back and just argue about who the best teams are and watch, guys like Scatabo and Jeremiah Smith have just games that frankly make them somewhat legendary in the college football fan base firmament. And instead, the reality is the far more significant act that occurred happened at 3:15 in the morning on January 1 on Bourbon Street.
Clay Travis, founder of Outkick, Fox as well, at Clay Travis on social media. You mentioned Scatabo. That kid's incredible, man. I've watched some Arizona State games, but to see him on that stage do what he did, he did absolutely everything. Like,
it's one of the best games. One of the best games, I think, for a non-quarterback that we have ever seen anybody put out there. I think it was, and I'm doing off the top of my head, 130 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, 99 yards, I think it was, receiving, 45-yard touchdown pass on 4th down.
It's crazy.
I don't know what more you could say. You mentioned, Texas. Look, I felt really confident about the under in Texas covering with about 7 minutes to go in that game. It's 4th and 5. It was, 26-8 or something like that, 24-8 maybe. And Texas just felt like they were cruising. It felt like they had been in a position where they should have put the game away earlier. But it never really felt from the whole moment of that game until they tied it up like Texas was really in any kind of significant danger. And boy, they just completely. Sark is lucky he won, because if they had lost that game, there would be a whole lot of people in Longhorn country waking up this morning like, what in the world did we do?
Yeah, hey, and real quick, I like Sark, but 2 parts to this. Like, Sark realistically has never won a big game. Like, you can say, okay, Oklahoma State Big 12 championship, but look, he lost the SEC championship this year.
Yeah, beat Alabama and Tuscaloosa, probably his best win.
Yeah, he got a nice draw with Clemson, a 3-loss, ACC champion in round 1. They ended up winning that game. Yeah, and at home, you're right. If he would have blown that game, first of all, really, what is the narrative on Sark? And then outside of that, we're talking about Kalen DeBoer getting loss number 4 in year 1 at Alabama. What kind of grade would you give DeBoer in year 1?
For Kalen DeBoer, I would give him a D. Nick Saban in 17 years lost 3 games, I think, as a double-digit, 14-plus point underdog, and Kalen DeBoer did it in year 1. I think Jalen Milroe has limitations, but he is a talented quarterback. The goal of supposedly an offensive genius head coach is to put his quarterback in the best possible scenarios to make plays, and he didn't do that. I don't think that Michigan is an incredibly talented team. They play hard, but it's not like they have a great deal of offensive explosiveness or somebody that you really have to be concerned about. Vanderbilt finished 7-6, but most people handled Diego Pavia pretty well. Certainly most decent teams did. Oklahoma is awful. To be frank, and they beat Bama by 20-plus. Really, the best performance that Bama had all season certainly was the first half against Georgia. The best road performance they had all year was probably LSU, although I think Tennessee's pretty solid, and I think Alabama had a fairly solid game that day. But if I'm Alabama fan sitting around today and we went 9-4, first of all, you guys probably have a better sense of it than I do. What's Jalen Milroe going to do? It doesn't sound like they want him back. I can't imagine who's going to draft him, although I'm a Titans fan and they make awful decisions, so maybe they'll do it.
The Titans will trade up for him.
Yeah, trade up, or take him 2 overall.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I think if I were advising Jalen Milroe, I would say, hey, man, maybe go to a Oklahoma State, maybe go to a Texas Tech, go play Colorado. I don't know if they have a good offensive system. Somewhere where you're going to be able to play against the lower caliber of competition. Maybe you'll be able to use your legs more consistently there than you can against SEC defenses. But other than LSU, which if I'm an LSU fan, I think LSU let Milroe go 16 carries for like 185 yards with 2 weeks to get ready for him. Other than that, after the first half against Georgia, pretty much every SEC team just said Jalen Milroe's not beating us with his legs. And as a result, Alabama's offense didn't work. And so that's what would have me feeling a bit ominous if I'm an Alabama fan. I would give him a D. What letter grade would you guys give him?
I did a video, I think it was yesterday, 2 days ago. I gave him a C, but the more it sinks in, it would be a C- or a D.
I think it's a C. I'm not going to lower it. I just don't put a whole lot of stock in bowl games that are outside the playoffs. So what happened in the bowl game was just a lot of what we saw in the regular season. Like the bowl game doesn't really affect my – it was going to give Alabama 10 wins, but I think bowl games are exhibitions outside of the playoffs, so I'm just not going to overreact to that. So
I get that, but what Clay said, I mean, he lost 3 games as a 14-plus point favorite.
No, I understand that.
I give him a C, Clay, because he inherited a great roster, but it's not a roster that sort of fits his coaching style. So I'm not going to give him a D or an F. I'm going to give him a C. And I want to see what he's able to do after he maybe gets a quarterback that sort of fits his offensive way of doing things. And I do believe that if Jalen Milroe announced today that let's run it back, a job not finished, one of those posts, that it would not go over very well with
Alabama fans would revolt.
Yes.
Yeah, they would not be happy.
So can you remember that? That's also an interesting dynamic associated with the new era, right? Can you remember a time when a star, I mean, I think it's fair to call Jalen Milroe a star now, supremely talented. Yeah. When a star player in college football announced he was coming back for another year and everybody was upset.
Yeah. No, I can't. But I think the same thing would happen if Quinn Ewers did it. I think the same thing would have happened at Georgia if Carson Beck had done it. I would say all 3 of those fan bases, really good fan bases, really good prospects at one point. I think all fan bases want to move on from their quarterback.
Now, well, a little bit interesting. I mean, Arch Manning is obviously, based on the play that we have seen from him, looks like he's going to be a first-round quarterback. So that's a little bit different. I mean, Quentin Ewers, I think you got to give the guy credit. I mean, the 3 throws he made to end that game. I mean, the 4th and 13 touchdown pass, the 2-point conversion throw, and the I guess it was I guess the 2-point conversion throw was the last one, but the touchdown pass to the tight end. I mean, those are big time playmaking plays at the time that you need a guy to make them. And the word is that somebody has offered $5 or $6 million for him to be the starting quarterback next year, which is more than he could make in the NFL. Which,
yeah,
again,
that's the play for him.
Where we started, the reason Diego Pavia wants to stay in college football is somebody, let's say Vanderbilt's going to pay him $1.5 million or whatever the heck it is to play for another year. And he's never going to make that in the NFL because he has no NFL future. So you got guys, that are in incredible positions, the likes of which we've never seen before. And obviously, right now, the analogy I've made, and it's 100% right, but this is the Berlin Wall came down and capitalism just arrived in Eastern Europe. And there are no restrictions. You can sell a nuclear weapon or a kidney, and people will buy it, right? And that's where we are right now in college football. And again, I think where we should go is there's like 10 dudes with real value. And a lot of other people are looking around and saying, boy, we're not making really rational choices here. And the thing that I hear from coaches when I talk to them is, man, it's one thing to have to pay players. It's another thing to swing and miss on a player. You destroy your entire locker room when you give a guy $600,000, $700,000 and he stinks. Because then everybody else in that position group, everybody else on that offense or defense knows what he's making. They look around and they say, what about me? So it's one thing if you give Jeremiah Smith $5 million a year and everybody's like, yeah, this dude is a freak, right? Like he deserves that money. I'm nowhere near him. But that to me is the challenge is a lot of these guys are getting overpaid. And it's a little bit like what happened with college football, right? I've argued for a long time Nick Saban deserved like $20 million a year. Les Miles didn't deserve to be paid similar to Nick Saban, but because everybody wanted to claim that they were trying to win as hard as everybody else, every coach ended up making within a few $100,000 of each other at every program. Nick Saban made guys hundreds of millions of dollars based on his dominance. I think a relatively handful of college football players are elevating the overall marketplace out there in a way that, frankly, isn't justified at other position groups.
I want your thought before you go on this, because we're going to talk about it as well. But 12 is where we are with the playoffs. 14's in discussion. I have a belief that 8 or 16 is the number we need to settle on and have no buys, because if Notre Dame beats Georgia today, all the bye teams ended up losing. And there is something about having some rest but not too much rest. I think 8 or 16 is the way to go, where you have no buys.
If Georgia loses, all the conference champions will have lost as well.
That's right. All the conference champions would have lost as well.
The automatics and the buys all got wiped out.
So what's your thoughts on that trend?
Well, we'll see how it plays out today. But I don't have a problem with the buys. You know, the NFL has 2 buys. Used to have 4 buys, and that discussion always happened in the NFL too. The break wasn't as long. And I think maybe that's where you could have some level of conversation. But to me, I think it just has to be the 4 best teams. And if you had done that this year, I know we got one good game so far with Arizona State, Texas, but frankly, it didn't look like it was going to be a good game for about 90% of the game between the two. If you had, you would have had, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but you would have had Notre Dame, Ohio State, Tennessee, and one more team hosting home playoff games, and they would have hosted Arizona State, and Boise State would have been in the mix. I think the first round playoff games would have been a lot better, and I also think that would have then made the second round playoff games better. So I don't have a problem with the top 4 getting buys, but it needs to be the very top 4 teams. My ideal would just be go straight 16. And I've said this for a long time also. I would eliminate the conference championship games. I don't have a problem if 2 teams finish 7-1 in the SEC with labeling them co-champs. I think the winning the conference championship thing is going to become way less significant the bigger the playoff gets. You guys know this. Tennessee won the SEC basketball championship last year, went to the Elite 8. Alabama came in, 3rd or 4th? I don't remember the final tally. Lost, I think, in the first round of the SEC basketball tournament.
Yep.
Went to the Final Four. Nobody cares at all what happened in the conference, right? Because it's what do you do in the NCAA tournament? That's all that people care about. The bigger the college football playoff becomes, you only care about how you did in conference in the context of getting into the playoff. So I would give multiple teams a conference championship. And I would say if I were running the SEC and the Big Ten, all right, we want a guaranteed 5 each. That's 10. And then there will be 6, Big 12 champ, ACC champ gets in, that's 12. And then 1 non-power conference team, that's 13. And then we can have 3 at-larges. That's the way that's what I would go to the table with if I were Sankey and I were Petiti. We want 5 each guaranteed, 3 at-larges. And the potential then to get almost half the conference some years in the playoff.
Clay, thank you for the time. Again, Happy New Year, and we'll talk with you next Tuesday. So we'll talk to you then.
All right, perfect. Y'all have a good New Year. Appreciate you.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Clay with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.
Yeah, no bye team has won. No conference champion has won yet. Georgia can change that or make that a complete situational sweep.
And your best team appears to be the 8 seed. So make it make sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Ohio State's the 8 seed. Am I wrong about that?
No, that's right.
So they were in the 8-9 game against Tennessee. They're the 8 seed.
Yep.
That looks like obviously the best team playing right now was the 8 seed.
Favorites are 7-0, 6-1 against the spread. And our one good game, as he said, at one point was a 99% probability win for Texas in the fourth quarter when it was 24-8. And then it swung to a 91% Arizona State win on the 4th and 13.
Yeah, in 10 minutes of gameplay, it's hard to see a football game swing like that.
I agree completely. When they stopped Arizona State on that 4th and goal, which, by the way, that play call, I know Scatterboo's your best player, but come on, man.
I mean, on the
carry 30, we're going to let you try to carry 3 guys.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Now Joe Tess is way too much.
Oh,
but the touchdown he scored in overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, it was virtually the same play. He just ran through everybody.
I know.
Yeah, and we got picked up by a guy.
Yeah, a guy just fell backwards. With him.
At one point in football, I don't think you could do that.
You can't pull guys.
He picked him up
You
off
got
the
a guy
ground.
and you're falling backwards with him.
He picked the guy up off the ground and carried him like a baby into the end zone.
Feels like a pull.
Yeah.
But when they stopped him on that 4th down at 17-3, you're like, this thing is over.
Yeah.
That was their chance. Or it was 24-3 at the time, right? Was it?
24-8.
Well, it's 24-3 because then they get the safety and the field goal to make it 8. Yeah.
Yep.
And you're like, it's over. 24-3. They just stopped them. That was their last gasp.
Ohio State 41-21 over Oregon. Texas 39-31 over Arizona State in double overtime. Penn State a winner over Boise 31-14 in that game. And we still have Georgia and Notre Dame today, 3 o'clock Central, ESPN.
And you talk about favorites. Notre Dame is now the fave.
Yeah,
it has flipped all the way around.
Yeah, moved from Georgia to Pick'em to Notre Dame, now the favorite, betting at mybookie.ag. Show brought to you by a couple of great folks. One of them, our friends at Mortgage Right. They will bring you trash later on, but it's a new year and a new chance for you to get the mortgage right.
Yeah, look, if you just want some advice, there's no cost or obligation. They are the mortgage experts. We've been partnered with these guys for years, even go back to the terrestrial days. Just great guys. Mortgages done the right way. Whether you're buying your first home or your final home, these guys can give you the right advice. 205-900-7200, mortgageright.com, NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender.
And our friends at DanielMooreArt.com, DanielMooreArt.com. Nothing will probably be painted about the ReliaQuest Bowl.
You don't think?
But there will be other great moments in Alabama history coming up. But why not celebrate the Nick Saban era? 6 national championships. The legend is out there. You can pick that up right now. DanielMooreArt.com, DanielMooreArt.com. Calendars every year for the perfect Alabama fan in your life. Always use the coupon code TNR, 20% off right there at DanielMooreArt.com.
Follow The Next Round on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Next Round Live.
The beauty of the holiday is at the center of your table with the New York Butcher Shop. Their selection of USDA certified Angus prime rib roast, beef tenderloins, and fillets, as well as premium pork and lamb cuts, are the finest selections available in the market and are hand-cut just the way you want. With side dishes handmade by their professional chefs, your holiday meal is complete. Visit one of their 2 locations today, in Cahaba Heights or off Highway 119 in Greystone. Place your order today. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service.
If renting is putting a dent in your bank account, here's your sign from the universe that it's time to buy a new home. And who better to help you through the ins and outs of home buying than our friends at Mortgage Right. With Mortgage Right, you don't have to worry about becoming a short-notice mortgage expert because they do all the heavy lifting for you. They're trusted mortgage professionals, and they'll help you choose the right mortgage option and stand by your side every step of the way. Visit mortgageright.com/TNR to buy before renting runs you dry. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender. Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
Happy football season. At the Next Round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant Denny or Jordan Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out TheBarnAuburn.com and CoverCrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to Fall Saturdays.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, CoverCrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Back with you on the next round. We'll jump around now for the rest of the show. Before we start jumping around, can I just talk about the growing love I have for New Year's Days? It's a humble brag, I know. But because of Nick Saban's success and a couple of years Auburn's success, we've spent most of the last 17 years not at home on New Year's Day. But the New Year's Days when I've been home, it's become one of my favorite days because of the food. New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, I had a couple of great meals. And Brown, I know you went by the New York Butcher Shop and picked up some pork tenderloins.
Yeah, we had some friends come over for the New Year's Eve celebration. I got 2 pork tenderloins from Jim. Jennifer, I should say, went by there and got 2 pork tenderloins. This corn dip, have you ever had that corn dip he's got that you heat up and you, my wife had out the little Fritos.
I don't know if I have.
Oh, it's fantastic. And then the mashed sweet potato casserole. Woo. Well, that was a fantastic meal on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, and I was telling Maggie, risotto and bacon and some other stuff, black-eyed peas. She made that, but then she made this big pot where she went and got this ham hock, and the black-eyed peas and the collard greens were all in one big pot that she cooked. It was just unbelievable. And I know you went by the New York Butcher Shop and picked up some stuff, including some steaks for the weekend.
I got 5 steaks on New Year's Eve. I got some of the diced up red potatoes. I got some of the goat cheese mashed potatoes. Just fantastic food all the time from the New York Butcher Shop. One-stop dinner shop. Also huge deli sandwiches. Got a client lunch. You just want to pick up a couple of those sandwiches on the way home. Great selection of fine wines and desserts as well. 2 locations, the original Cahaba Heights, Highway 119 in Greystone. Rare quality, well-done service. It's the New York Butcher Shop.
MyBookie.ag chat room. What do you? What's been the main topic in there today, Brownie? Has it been Alabama, the reaction there?
Yeah, a lot of talk about what's going on in New Orleans, as you might understand, but also Jalen Milroe. When you brought up Jalen Milroe earlier, the MyBookie.ag chat room.
Are most against?
Oh, I would say 100%, Lance. I have yet to see anybody.
100%.
Well, I've yet to see anybody say, hey, you guys are crazy. I'd like to see Milroe back. I think it doesn't mean people hate Milroe. I think they're just ready to see the next thing. I think they have seen 2 years of Jalen Milroe. I think they feel like you know what you've got in Jalen Milroe. Even if he comes back next year, you're going to see a lot of what you've already seen in Jalen Milroe. I don't know what the next thing is, if it's Ty Simpson or Austin Mack or Keelan Russell, the true freshman, but I want to see the next thing.
Yeah, this could be a bad analogy, but I had a couple of friends in college, and we would have these different house parties, and I honestly would hope not to see them because when I would see them, they would show up so drunk and so belligerent and like wanting to fight and do different things. Now, 1 out of 10 times, they were a good drunk. They were fine. But 9 out of 10 times, they weren't. And so I knew when they showed up at that moment that I was kind of babysitting or I had to avoid them or whatever. You know, and if they showed up the 1 out of 10 times and they were fine, everything was cool. So if you get the good Jalen Milroe, it seems like it's more of that. It's more 90% bad Jalen than good Jalen.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you just don't get a consistent amount of the good or great Jalen. It seems like you only get great or poor Jalen. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. You don't feel like you get a whole lot of middle road Jalen Milroe.
If you're another fan base and you have struggled at quarterback for a long time, like, okay, now Auburn's got Jackson Arnold, so different. But if Arnold,
I mean, we don't know about Jackson Arnold, but I do feel like it's a good quarterback choice. But you don't know about Jackson.
But do you
Arnold.
think Auburn fans would have been excited if they would have gotten Jalen Milroe?
No. I mean, I think that it's an upgrade over Peyton Thorne. Yes, but I think they've seen enough of bad Jalen Milroe to say, I don't know if I want that.
Florida State.
It's an obvious upgrade.
It's an obvious upgrade. Is it as good as Jordan Travis? Probably not.
No. But he was gone, so it's an upgrade over DJ or anybody else.
But I think there are some fan bases that would get excited, right?
I mean, what's Ole Miss's next
Well, I'll tell you
step
this. For
at quarterback?
USC, Jaden Maeva is good. He is not a quarterback that is going to win USC
Well,
championship.
okay, so this is weird. People were asking, what would Lance think? I don't know if there's a rumor that Milroe might look at USC if he stays.
No, I thought
but
that
people are asking what you would think about him at USC.
And I haven't seen the chat in 6 weeks. But I think Jalen Milroe at USC would be really intriguing. I'd like to see it, actually.
Okay, that was asked earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, Lincoln Riley has a pretty good track record of taking quarterbacks that might be questionable and making them really good quarterbacks.
Well, that's his type of quarterback, too.
Yeah.
He took Jalen Hurts and made him a better thrower.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He made Jalen Hurts an NFL quarterback. He was not an NFL quarterback.
Then you guys
Alabama.
saw Caleb Williams early. Caleb Williams early was kind of Jalen Milroe-like. And then Caleb Williams late. And look, I know it didn't work out his final year because they lost 5 games, but he was tremendous.
Who was? I'm sorry, Jim. Who was the NFL? I'm not going to ask you who the scout was because he answered this for us anonymously. We were asking him about an Alabama receiver during Jalen Hurts' time there, and he goes, "It's hard to tell. He's had a running back throwing him the football for 2 years. I can't. It might have been Calvin Ridley. I can't remember the receiver.
No.
We were asking. I think it was Calvin Ridley because we were trying. There was something we were discussing about Calvin Ridley. We needed his draft. And we know some scouts, and we texted one scout, and he's like, I mean, it's hard to tell you about Calvin Ridley. He's had a running back throw it to him for 2 years. I don't know. And that's how an NFL scout viewed Jalen Hurts at Alabama. Lincoln Riley made him an NFL starter.
Right.
And a Super Bowl quarterback, Super Bowl level quarterback.
I know the first time he was like, boy, forget this guy. Who's that guy? What receiver? He was impressing me. I was going to say, what about Notre Dame? They've gone Hartman to Riley Leonard. I don't know what their next plan is. I'm being told that they've got to recruit. They're not going to go to the portal again for a quarterback. But, I mean, Jalen Milroe at Notre Dame.
I mean, Marcus Freeman gets to make this decision. Like, I think he's in a good enough spot now that, hey, look, my track record maybe didn't work out with Sam Hartman to the level we wanted it to, but it's worked out with Riley Leonard. Win or lose tonight, I think Notre Dame would be fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, so those are good name brands that we're just throwing out here
the
that
problem,
I think would take Jalen Milroe, but
and this is good.
Alabama fans don't want it.
No, this is good for Alabama fans. Like, I think that they are going to be so reliant upon one team following in love that I think whoever represents Jalen Milroe and his father, I think they're going to say you need to go to the NFL.
And this is the discussion that's going on right now until Milroe makes the announcement. And he had said before the game it would come shortly after the game, my decision about my future. I think there's a reality on the other side of this, though, for Alabama fans. And that is what I was talking about earlier, that the run game is not what it used to be. This receiving core, minus Ryan Williams and Bernard, is got to be rebuilt. I still think there are some questions on defense and the scheme and how you're going to play. The roster was good. It just didn't fit what they wanted to do coming in, and maybe you didn't have the quarterback to run the offense. But I think the other side of Jalen Milroe isn't going to be instant success.
Yeah, look, this was just pure, improv the other day when we started talking about this offense, and I was like, Jalen wasn't as good as I thought he would be. The running backs weren't. I was like, you know what? The offensive line wasn't. The receivers weren't. If you went unit by unit on this offense, is there anyone that you would give more than a B to? Any unit? It's really a bunch of C's.
No, but I think Ryan Williams is an elite player. I think Jeremy Bernard is a good receiver.
Yeah, but Ryan Williams, if I just went specifically Ryan Williams, I'd go B just because all the drops.
Yeah.
Look, he had some.
This is not sexy. I would say you had really good special teams this year. Like Graham Nicholson didn't get asked to do a whole lot.
Boy, he drilled that kick
yesterday. He did. He drilled
ago.
that kick against Michigan. I mean, that was a bomb. I think James Burnip got asked to do way more than you wanted him to do, but he was very good at doing it. So good, he's in the Senior Bowl and the Hula Bowl.
Yeah,
now.
kid wouldn't have seen the field in 2020.
Yeah, I mean, the James Burnip, you wouldn't even know who Alabama's punter was at sometimes in the Saban era. So special teams wise, I think that's the only place I could consider giving Alabama an A. And then, the return game, and Bakwe had some good returns. Williams had a fantastic. That was so heads up for a young guy. Did y'all see what he was doing on that punt return?
Don't block.
He was telling the guy, I've got this guy beat. Don't block him.
Because it'll be a blindside block.
Because it's going to be a blindside block. And he's telling him, I've got him beat. He is not going to get to the corner on me.
That was very Josh Allen-like.
But it was
Play
crazy.
is so slow that I can call this out.
Yeah,
but that's what he's doing.
Absolutely it was.
I saw it that way too.
Yeah, 100% it was. He's like, I have got this. This guy does not have the angle on me.
Don't block him.
Don't block him. I've got him beat. And all you're going to do is blindside block him and create a penalty.
Yeah.
That was so heads up by him.
I thought so too. I was watching at that point by myself, and I was talking to nobody in the room. I was like, he was telling him not to block him.
100% he was.
And, he's only 17 years old.
He held it up early too. I mean, early
Is
in
he
the
still
return.
17, by the way?
I think so. I don't know if he's had a birthday.
He's got to turn 18 at some point.
But that was crazy to be that heads up at that age, whether they're 17 or 18, that young of a player to be that heads up. And to know his game well enough to know, this guy is not getting me. He does not have the angle. I promise you I will beat him. There is no reason to blindside block him.
Yeah. For those that are worried about, maybe having to pull in starters out of the portal, I'll remind you that Arizona State took Texas to double overtime with 17 starters that were portal guys in that rebuild for Arizona State. So in this day and era, you've got to be a portal team, and don't throw Dabo at me. You've got to be a portal team.
Oh, Indiana had over 30.
Yeah,
I mean,
you got to be a portal team.
Yep.
You got to be a portal team. So you may lose some. You got to bring some in. You got to live in the portal these days and recruit well, but you got to go get them in the portal, and that is still happening in college football right now. A little bit more from the Alabama locker room and what we saw in the games after we tell you about a couple of our great sponsors. One of them is our friends at Woodhouse Day Spa.
Woodhouse Day Spa is a tremendous place to take care of that significant other. Hopefully this past Christmas, I told you guys I had 3 or 4 texts on Christmas Eve. Hey, man, what is y'all's promo code? What is the special from Woodhouse? Hey, look, there's specials all of the time from our friends at Woodhouse Day Spa, located right there at the Summit Shopping Centers. You can choose from a menu of over 70 options, including massages, body treatment, skincare, waxing, nail services. Woodhouse Day Spa, voted America's best day spa since 2009. Order that special person gift online 24/7, birmingham.woodhousespas.com, or just stop in. You can go see Stuart and the great staff right there at the Summit Shopping Centers. Make sure you tell them the guys from the Next Round sent you.
Okay, before Tyler gives us his 4 downs today, I will tell you that this is our not McCurry spotlight. Let's save that one for the next hour. This is a Champy's chicken fact of the day. Champy's will bring you the final hour coming up. You can go by and get great chicken today. Champy's Chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster. At Champy's, Sterling and the crew will take care of you. Deep fried Southern chicken, hand-cut chicken fingers. Poor boys, if you want to go by and get a great order from the to-go window and take it home to watch this afternoon Sugar Bowl game at 3 o'clock Central Time, Georgia and Notre Dame. Mississippi Delta recipe, tamales, and so much more. It has come out that Cam Ward and Miami, several players now have confirmed this, that Cam Ward, the plan all along with Mario Cristobal was him to play in the first quarter to halftime max. That was the plan all along.
And it's so weird now that Mario Cristobal wouldn't just say that.
That makes no sense.
I just don't know why you don't just say that, Lance, because now all you've done is make yourself look bad and Cam Ward look bad by not just being upfront and addressing it. And hey, by the way, you know what you could have said? I can't remember the backup's name. What was the backup's name? He was no good.
Mario Williams pops to mind, but
it's not Mario Williams. Whatever the backup is. If you're Mario Cristobal, you could say, we thought this, we wanted Cam to have a chance to get the record, but we also wanted to see
the future.
And Cam was okay with it. Our team was okay with it. So we made the decision early on, we're going to play Cam in the first half and we're going to play Mario in the second half. And, the natural question would be, well, Coach, what if Cam had not gotten the record in the first half? We would have made that decision at halftime. We wanted Cam to be able to get the record, but we also wanted to see the future. Everybody was on board with that.
If you don't watch this all year, we always start fast and then suck.
That's right. We had no doubt he'd get it in the first half.
Yeah.
So I don't know why Mario played it the way he played it.
Me either. Sometimes just be honest and pull that Band-Aid off. All right. 4 Downs brought to you by our friends at Slice LT.
Yeah, 5 great locations. The original Lakeview, Vestavia, Montevallo, Crestline Park. Newest location right there in Edgewood. Get in to see the Bajaya Brothers from the Soul Pie, the Wing and a Prayer. Local pizza, local ingredients. For more information, slicebirmingham.com.
First down.
Non-sports with Tyler. All right, let's go.
First down, did you have any special meal for New Year's? If so, what was it? Jim, you already said red beans and rice and then collards, cornbread.
I've done that twice. I should have read the question.
Yes.
If only you texted that to me at 2 in the morning.
That was weird timing. Why are you up so late?
Working on everything else. We had some issues with the automation system I was fixing.
Oh, dear.
And then I went to see a movie.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
This was last night?
Yeah.
Yes.
What movie did you go see?
Nosferatu.
Again?
Yeah, I went to go see it again.
Okay.
Better the second time?
Oh, yeah, it's really good.
Okay. Yeah,
Great
I am looking forward to seeing it. So my buddy Drew Gambakurta, his wife, Jenny, always does special New Year's meal, and she brought one for me and Jack yesterday. It had the ham in it, which was fantastic, the black-eyed peas, the collards, cornbread, and mashed potatoes.
So it
was fantastic.
Old tradition, I don't know if this is a Southern tradition or what, that the peas are for prosperity and the turnip greens / collard greens are for money in the new year. I don't know if it's a Southern thing or what, but that's always been the traditional New Year's meal.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's Southern or not. It was something my grandmother always said.
Oh, yeah. I've heard it my whole life.
The greens were new to me, but I knew growing up you had to have the black-eyed peas.
The peas for prosperity for the new year, yeah. So my mother-in-law does that every New Year's Day. I mean, every single New Year's Day, as long as I've been married, I think we've had lunch, that type of lunch, whether she made it and we ate it at our house or we go to their house or whatever.
I will tell you also, Maggie cooked her ass off this week. She made, I think it's Starbucks. You can get them like cake balls.
Cake pops.
Oh, my little one loves those things.
She didn't stick a stick in it, but they were just balls. So basically, she baked a strawberry cake and a vanilla cake. And then under the process, if I saw what she was doing, this was on New Year's Eve, so I was watching Alabama suck. So she did all this. The cakes didn't fall while I was bitching about Alabama upstairs.
Right.
Then you pull the cake out, make them into a ball, mix them with the icing, and then cook them some more or something, and then you dip them in ice. It was a process, and they were delicious. She cooked her butt off.
Good for Maggie.
Yeah, it was really good.
Second down.
Cuba Gooding Jr. turns 57 today. What's your favorite performance from him?
Well, there would be 3 movies I'd put in the mix. Boys in the Hood, Trey Styles. I would definitely put Jerry Maguire and then American Gangster. As far as his role would be Jerry Maguire as Rod Tidwell.
Yeah.
But as far as the movie, I would go American Gangster.
I agree with Jerry Maguire.
He was great in that. He won an Academy Award for it.
Underrated. I'm not going to know the name of it.
Describe it.
Huh?
Boat Trip.
I don't know.
Describe it.
He is
Google Boat Trip.
I believe he's the first African American
Men of Honor.
Deep
Men of Honor.
sea.
Him and Bob De Niro.
Yeah, him and Bob De Niro.
Yeah, gosh, I like that movie.
Yeah, that movie got beat up. I didn't hate it. I'm with you. I liked it.
What's
the actor's name that was the crusty old man up in the tower? Hal something. Hang on, I'll look it up.
There it is. Singles Cruise, Double Trouble. Your kind of movie,
You're telling me that's not a good movie?
Yeah. Oh, I've got that on VHS. I don't.
I want to find that guy's name now. That's going to drive me crazy. You know who I'm talking about, Lance.
Yeah.
Wait, which movie?
In Men of Honor.
Yeah, he was out of touch.
I never saw it.
He was the out of touch leader.
Hal Holbrook.
Okay, yeah.
He played the old, crusty old, like, the black guy's never going to make it in my Navy, son. You know, that guy. Hal Holbrook.
Third down.
The song Billie Jean was released 42 years ago today. Is it even possible for another artist to reach the heights that Michael Jackson did in the social media era?
Taylor Swift has she not done it?
I think Taylor Swift has passed Michael.
Oh, I think
Michael
she
Jackson.
has.
Yeah. And by the way, Billie Jean was my favorite Michael Jackson song, but there's a couple of versions on Spotify where they break it down and amp it up, as I used to tell Rockstar.
Right.
Where it's a slow version.
Yeah, Chris Cornell does a good version.
Yeah, where, you break that song down, just the lyrics, it's really, really good. That's my favorite Michael Jackson song. And I think Taylor Swift has already passed.
I think she's passed. Even there's no sleepovers, so there's like no.
Yes. Not that we know of. We didn't know that about Michael Jackson until his,
I think people had an idea.
Not until
maybe.
late Michael Jackson. Though.
But like last night, music is so crazy, but sometimes we can overplay the importance of some people. And Michael Jackson, obviously, get this the wrong way. Michael Jackson is important to music. But to me, I went back last night because of the Georgia game being canceled and watched on Max the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductions from this year. And you go back
Did Foreigner get inducted?
Not the part I saw.
Okay.
Ozzy Osbourne went in, and I was thinking, man,
can't believe it's taking this long.
Taking this long. I'm watching his songs, and I was like, God, how talented was this guy? And how great was his voice?
Is Black Sabbath already in, though?
Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ozzy's in with them.
Now he's in with his individual
Yeah.
career. And then Mary J. Blige, and she was so important. And, Tribe Named Quest went in, and then Dave Matthews Band went in. And I was like, Dave Matthews Band's just now going in. And I was thinking to myself how important they were to my life. So I think music is so personal. Michael Jackson just didn't mean a whole lot to me personally.
Dave Matthews, have you ever? So Maddie was watching this thing called like Under the White Belly. What is the YouTube that has the weird interviews? I know you know this.
The White Underbelly?
The White Underbelly. Yeah, whatever it is.
Under the White Belly?
Yeah, but I started to look at this in the different interviews.
Soft white underbelly.
The Soft White Underbelly, that's it, yeah.
One of the interviews is with the bus driver of Dave Matthews, and I was like, why? Well, there was an incident in Chicago. Have you guys ever heard about this? Where they dumped all the waste of the boat or the
I have heard that
of the bus out, and it went on one of those open roof cruises like we go on in Chicago all the time, and it hit everybody down there.
Yeah, and they were going to get in trouble already for dumping it just on a waterway. They weren't supposed to do that, but then it just hit a bunch of people.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, that is terrible.
But do you think that was Dave Matthews' call or just the bus driver?
Oh, it was the bus driver.
Probably just bus driver.
Yeah, I bet Dave didn't care.
It's probably an interesting interview.
I bet he took the heat for it though. But
Fourth down.
I didn't know this about Dave Matthews, but I know Patrick and others who are big D&B fans. He was just a bar singer at a bar in Virginia. It was a jazz club, and most of the people in the band just played at the jazz club, and they formed a band together, and he stuck with most of them the whole way through.
Never been a big fan myself.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
I've never really liked it.
I could take or leave it, but there's some really, really good stuff. I mean, you can tell that the layers of that band, they're really good.
Like when Ants Marching comes on, I don't turn it off, but I don't seek out. You do?
I do.
No, you dislike Dave Matthews that much?
I do. They've always felt like sort of like Fish or one of those type bands, just like one of those bands.
Not quite though. I see what you're saying. Not quite.
Around and see 50 times,
Grateful
and
Dead,
I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Julia Roberts is one of those fans. She introduced him into the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Pretty Woman, and she had a Dave shirt on. And the first person in the video after they are introduced, they play a video. The first person to comment on Dave Matthews was the leader of Fish. So it's funny you say that. Yeah.
Fourth down.
What's one New Year's resolution you have for 2025?
Not a big resolution guy.
I haven't either, but I've got one.
Yeah, I'm normally not. I was going to do a dry January. But I was going to say I got an 11-day start, so I'm 11 days, no drinks, and I'm going to take it into January. So
you're going to do all of January now, so we're going to go 42 total days?
Yeah, I think the most I have done was some dry February, so 28. I did a dry March one time, I think.
Right.
So I think the most I've gone is like 30 days, but I'm already 11 in, and I got 31 coming up on January, so.
Yeah. I don't call them resolutions. I call them goals, okay?
That one skipped right by Dunaway, by the way.
What?
My 11 days sober.
Yeah, 11 days, Jim. Could we get some celebration on that, please?
That's fantastic. Dry January. You usually go dry February, so now you're going to back it up.
Can I ask?
But I've written down my goals.
Well, can I ask a tricky question real quick before you get to your goals? Is Bama and Bourbon done for the year? What are we going to do about that?
Oh, no. I mean, last February, I did dry Bama and Bourbon. So Suttles is going to drink it. So this January, Suttles will drink it. I'll smell it, talk about it, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, go. I've got an idea.
Okay.
Not in particular order. Read my 7 goals for 2025, LT. I've written them down. Read those out loud.
Hit the gym will never happen. Avoid drama will never happen.
Avoid drama.
Smell nice, I hope.
Yeah.
Level up my circle. I don't know what that means.
Whoa, time out. Say that again.
Level up my circle.
What does level up your circle mean? Where did you read this?
I think sometimes you can have too big of a circle. I need to close my circle.
100% you do.
Yeah.
Talk less. You don't talk a lot, and outside of on the mic.
No, I think avoid drama and talk less would go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Okay. Not talk less like in my profession.
Yeah.
Talk less to other people about things.
Yeah. Pray more. I've learned that you don't just have to pray when you're in bed. Like you can pray all the time.
Yeah, you can be constant.
Yeah.
You don't have to close your eyes either.
You don't, no, especially for driving.
More self-confident. I mean, I don't know how you get that at this age, but good luck.
I used to be really self-confident. I've lost that along the way. Those are my 2025 goals, not resolutions.
Mine, I am, we're 2 days in and I'm already trending ahead, Tyler. A couple times in my life, I've read the Bible cover to cover in a year, and I'm going to do it again this year. It's not really cover, I read it on my phone, but from Genesis to the end of Revelation, Genesis 1:1 to Revelation 22. So we'll hopefully continue that. I'm already trending ahead. Like I'm saying, hey, my goal this time, I picked a reading plan that doesn't go 365 days. So you've got days to make up if you miss. That's number one. Number two, I picked a reading plan that's some Old Testament and some New Testament every day because Leviticus and Deuteronomy are where Bible reading plans go to die.
That's the problem. If you try to do cover to cover and you go in the order it was written,
but it's,
you hit the hill on the marathon.
That's right. Leviticus.
You don't want to read about fabric laws.
Yeah, I mean that's where Bible reading plans go to die. Right, is right there. And then number three, I decided while I'm fired up about it, let's go ahead and read ahead, right? Let's get some days under the belt here. So I'm already to day 5, and we're only on day 2.
Have you ever done the daily devotionals?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I got my first one last year. My buddy Chris Stewart gave it to me.
He did.
And I read my last devotional on the 31st and threw it away.
What?
Why'd you throw it away?
Why'd you throw it away?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to go back and read the same one.
No, that can actually be very helpful in my life. I'm not saying it would be in yours.
No, it's just time for another.
No, that's fine. Move on to another
one.
Have you gotten another one yet?
I haven't yet. Yeah. I'm willing though. But I went about the 365 days. I probably read 300.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's really good. And that is 4 Downs today, brought to you by our friends at Slice.
Hey, stop in for a slice and a salad. Pick up a couple of pies on your way home. We are so I can't figure out the days we were at. Somebody yesterday said it feels like it's Sunday. It is Thursday. So we'll recalibrate this weekend. Coming out of the weekend, everybody should be back on the same page. But the weekend is basically here. So pick up a couple of pies from our friends at Slice. 5 locations. For more information, slicebirmingham.com.
No joke. Forrester will tell you I was a little later than usual this morning. Forrester beat me here and unlocked the door. And it was because I'd awakened, but I was just laying around on the couch. And Maggie's like, do you not have work today?
Oh, my gosh.
And that's exactly the way I reacted. I was like, oh, my gosh, it's not. I thought it was Sunday. Yesterday felt like Saturday.
I haven't known the day for about 2 weeks now.
I really thought it was Sunday.
It's been very confusing.
I kind of like that.
Threw me off a little bit, too.
Yeah.
I was like, is it not Sunday, Maggie? I got to get up and go.
What time are we going to church?
Yeah. What time are you going to church first? And I'm going to follow you up at 11, unless we get a tea time. All right, 1 more hour to go. The show being brought to you by some great folks like our friends at Storm Restoration Roofing. Greg from Pell City and that great guy right there, he and his wife, Andrea. They own the company, locally owned for over 20 years, 2 decades of being a locally owned roofing company, Storm Restoration Roofing. The most trusted name in Central Alabama in the roofing community because of what Greg will do for you. It starts with that free, no-cost roof inspection, but also how honest he is when he gives you that roof inspection. Sometimes you're calling him out to take a look at your roof so that you can buy from him or anyone else a new roof. And sometimes, if you're a new homeowner, he'll come out and say, you know what? Your roof's fine for about 3 or 4 more years. And your instant reaction is like, dude, you're really not going to take my money right here, right off the bat? I want a new roof, but thanks for telling me. Thanks for being honest. He's that honest with you. Storm repairs, roof replacements, he does it all, including storm damage. Instant call, and he'll come out there after a storm. 205-542-3531. 205-542-3531. Or just look him up. Storm Restoration Roofing. Greg from Pell City on Facebook. He's the best.
Take the next round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store.
A legendary coach once said, "It's not the will to win that matters. It is the will to prepare to win." Hi, I'm Bobby Humphrey, Vice President of Business Development for Bryant Bank, and I can tell you that our Bryant bankers have the dedication and experience to put together a financial game plan that is right for you. At Bryant Bank, we specialize in community banking and offer personal and business loans, checking and savings account, mobile banking, and treasury management services. Stop by one of our 18 offices across the state of Alabama to find out what unbeatable service and legendary results are all about.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. I mean, where else are the scenic views as good as your view of the game? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Things fall apart. There's even a book about it, but that doesn't mean you have to break the bank to fix them. Ryan Brown here for the Next Round. Our friends at Mortgage Right have a new renovation option that will make repairs and other home improvements easy. If you've recently purchased a home and find yourself short on cash, or you're looking to buy a fixer-upper, Mortgage Right's renovation loan program can help you spruce up your space. Repairs can be made to your roof, plumbing, flooring, and more with the help of top-notch mortgage professionals. So get your fix by visiting mortgageright.com/TNR. And MLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Done away, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Done Away is standing by, ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
From the creators of The Next Round comes two new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. Two team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
Happy football season. At the Next Round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant Denny or Jordan Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out TheBarnAuburn.com and CoverCrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to fall Saturdays.
From the creators of The Next Round comes two new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. Two team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, The Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Final hour of the show always brought to you by our friends at Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken, champyschicken.com, Highway 119 in Alabaster. Go see Sterling and the entire crew. I speak about longevity. Over a decade in that 119, Highway 119 place in Alabaster. Over a decade. You know how good you got to be at a restaurant to be in the same place for over a decade? That's Sterling right there at Champy's Chicken. Brined overnight, cooked to order. It is so good. The best food in town. Go check them out for lunch, dinner, or get some food to take to your tailgates next football season. Or if you still have games happening today. That includes Georgia and Notre Dame. Down there in New Orleans, we talked earlier with Brooks Austin about the game coming up. Let's get some thoughts from the coaches who will be in this game. Let's go Kirby Smart, cut number 11, if you will, Tyler, to start us off here. It's actually Brooks Austin who is on the show that's asking this question. about both teams wanting to run their quarterbacks, but the possibility of getting them hurt and just how physical this game could be. Here's Brooks with the question.
Both these football teams feature a quarterback whose legs could be a portion of this game, but you run into that, kind of area where you're trying to make sure your starting quarterback survives the football game. How do you go about winning this game using your quarterback's legs while also making sure, hey, we get this guy out of here upright?
Yeah, you have to do everything you can. It's win or go home. So there is no measure of, well, I got to be conservative on this, I got to be conservative on that. I mean, is your quarterback a better running back than your running backs? That's the first question. Hard to believe with the backs they got, and hard to believe with the backs we got, that either of our quarterbacks are better. They are an extra hat. They bring an extra dimension. Red area, super high tendency to run the quarterback. Zone read teams, ability to pull the ball, eye candy, option plays. Both teams execute those. I don't think either coordinator will be holding back because they're worried about the next game. They're going to do whatever they have to do to win this game. And if Gunner or Riley had to run the ball 30 times to win the game, I think both coordinators would do that. It's not the makeup of the offenses, but whatever they got to do to win the game, they'll do.
Yeah, now, as LT has pointed out, the game has now switched betting lines, and Notre Dame, at least 30 minutes ago, was the betting favorite now.
Yeah, right now they're a 1-point favorite. I'm interested. I think Marcus Freeman, I like Marcus Freeman a lot. We don't know how good of a coach he is, really. He's built a really good program, but now we start to see what kind of substance he can get with some of these wins. He beat Indiana. It was a great year from Cignetti. How good was Indiana? We really don't know. He beat Navy and Army.
Ranked teams at the time, but how good were Navy and Army compared to his roster?
Yeah, he lost to Northern Illinois. He beat A&M earlier this year. I don't know. This is by far, even with Gunner Stockton, their biggest challenge. You've given Kirby a lot of time off, which, I thought for Arizona State, it looked like it yesterday. Arizona State really started slow, and then they got into their rhythm. I think the 3.5 weeks off hurt them. I think this is going to benefit Georgia. We'll see what happens here.
Oregon was dead and gone before they could shake the rust off.
Yeah, they were. I did think it was interesting what Brooks Austin said earlier, though, about Jeremiah Love. If Jeremiah Love's not 100%, that's a problem.
Yeah, that was alarming. For those that weren't with us, he said maybe 85% is what he's gathering from the people he's talked to around Notre Dame.
I don't think he was 100% for the Indiana game. I don't think this is new, though, right? He was playing injured.
No, but, he had a lot of time off before that Indiana game.
7.5 yards per carry, over 1,000 yards, 16 touchdowns. He is what carries that offense. Riley Leonard's been really good.
Who's the obvious better back that Georgia has faced for you? Dylan Sampson?
Yeah.
You think he's better?
Sampson, probably.
Jarquez Hunter?
No.
You don't think so? Either of the Alabama backs?
Nope.
Either of the Texas backs?
Possibly Wisner one day.
Yeah. So, this could be the best running back outside of Dylan Sampson Georgia's faced all year. If he's banged up, that is a pretty big story.
Do you guys get a feeling, though, this is a Notre Dame team right now that is first in the FBS with 29 forced turnovers. If Gunner Stockton can play clean, he doesn't have to make plays, just don't turn it over, I think Georgia's going to be okay.
A lot of people describe Notre Dame as a more talented Georgia Tech, who gave Georgia all they wanted. Style of play, quarterback play, and things like that.
That's another thing Brooks was talking about is it's not, Georgia's mid-tier in terms of statistics against the rush in the SEC, which is not normally where you find a Glenn Schumann / Kirby Smart defense. But as Brooks said, if you look deeper in the numbers, the teams that have gotten them on the ground are teams with a mobile quarterback and a running back.
Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe,
Haynes King, and they're about to face one tonight, or this afternoon.
Who's not that guy? Quinn Ewers. And they beat him. They beat him twice.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You don't get a whole lot of run out of Quinn Ewers.
And I think I brought this up on Monday, but here's where the quarterbacks are. Riley Leonard has played a ton of football, 75 career touchdowns. Gunner Stockton has 51 career passing attempts.
Yeah.
So, it is night and day, but you brought this up multiple times. You guys were in Atlanta for the SEC championship and how that team rallied and seemed to be energized by the presence of Gunner Stockton coming in.
And Kirby has said that this week down there is the team rallies around him better than Carson Beck.
Yeah, and with that in mind, cut number 12, Tyler, Marcus Freeman, they're faced with the challenge of having to prepare for a quarterback that they just don't have a lot of tape on. Here's the Notre Dame coach.
How do you prepare for a guy like Gunner Stockton knowing that there's not a tremendous amount of game tape for him?
Well, I think you utilize the game film that's there, right? There's 80-something plays of him playing this year and doing a really good job at running their offense, right? I don't think they're going to change their offense completely because of who's at quarterback. He does a lot of things well that Carson Beck did well, right? He can throw it. Carson Beck's more athletic than I thought until I started watching the film. He can do a lot of really good things, and he makes great decisions in those 86 plays that we watch. And so I don't assume it's going to be that much different, but it's also a game of adjustments, right? We have to be able to see what they're trying to do in their plan of attack versus our defense and be able to adjust. And that's what, the game of football has been all year.
I've really been – I mean, that guy has taken some lumps for his head-scratching losses against these double-digit underdogs.
Marshall, Northern Illinois.
His demeanor, though, I really like his demeanor. I don't know if y'all saw his interview with Scott Van Pelt last night on SportsCenter.
Yeah.
They had a big extended SportsCenter because they were supposed to have the Sugar Bowl there. And just the calm demeanor with which he approached that whole situation down there. Not that Kirby doesn't also do this, but just the demeanor of that guy.
Is so likable.
Yeah, he really is.
But I don't know how good of a coach he is because he's never had these opportunities.
I know.
And now he's about to get these opportunities. I mean, look, if Notre Dame was to go on one of these runs, again, they're favored tonight. Then you get Penn State, which would be a top 5 matchup. Whoever wins this game is going to beat Penn State, in my opinion. Then Notre Dame could be playing for a national championship, and I think the narrative on Marcus Freeman completely changes.
Oh, absolutely. I think if he wins this game, the narrative changes.
It would be his biggest win.
It would be his biggest win at Notre Dame. You've beaten a named program that has been one of, if not the dominant college football programs of the last decade. Them and Alabama and Ohio State, I mean, they're in a select group right there. Georgia is. And you advance to the semifinals where all of a sudden you've got a pretty good path to the national championship.
Well, back to the question that Brooks, asked Marcus Freeman there about, the lack of film. Well, you heard Nick Saban say it. Look, they ran the exact same offense with Gunnar Stockton.
That's right. Didn't change a thing.
I think the difference is going to be, if you're Al Golden and this defense coordinator, is you don't have to worry about your corners and your safeties getting beat as much because Gunnar Stockton doesn't have the arm that Carson Beck has. So as far as like an Arian Smith or a Dylan Bell getting behind you, that's one of the things that you don't have to worry about as much. So I think there is a little bit more of a limitation with Gunnar Stockton, but they're going to run their offense. I mean, Mike Bobo, I don't think is going to change anything.
I want to tell you about a couple of our great sponsors, and then I'm going to ask a question about the image of 2 losing coaches yesterday, because I think both of them took a step forward in my eyes in losses yesterday. Show being brought to you by a couple of our great sponsor friends. One of them, Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living, a chance for you to go see Leslie and her board-certified team. To get in to see Leslie, all you have to do is go to aplanforme.com, and set up a free consultation. That's what you'll get at Way to Wellness. They offer meal replacements, injection therapies, and everything else there at Way to Wellness. It'll help you lose weight. Weight loss can help you control some cholesterol numbers and blood pressure numbers. If you're a guy who's getting a little bit older, into your 40s and 50s and 60s, then maybe a different diet would help out a little bit. They can help you with all that with no contracts, no sign-up fees. It's a planforme.com, Way to Wellness. Also, our friends at Johnston RV, Browning.
I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur is where you find Johnston RV Center. And right now, with the calendar flipping to 2025, that means we're very close to show season. So they got to get rid of the 24s to make room for the 25s, and that means things like Shasta 16RE. It's a lightweight, can be towed to just about any truck or SUV, $149 a month with approved credit. Avenger 29 QBS sleeps up to 10, $279 a month with approved credit. See more at johnstonrvcenter.com, johnstonrvcenter.com. Real quick, in the mybookie.ag chat room, for some reason, they are talking about how much they love our show there today, which I hope you know how much we appreciate. But they are also talking about the game tonight, and I wanted to ask Lance this real quick.
Ole Miss Duke or the Georgia Notre Dame game?
Georgia Notre Dame.
Okay.
I forgot Ole Miss Duke were playing.
I just got a text on Ole Miss Duke.
Yeah.
What about?
Duke 17. No,
just asking.
Hey, can I play Ole Miss? I said you can, but
I mean, you're going to lose.
If I was going to play it, I probably would lay it, but I'm not
Is
playing
Dart
that game.
playing?
Yes.
Okay, Dart is playing.
Yeah, and declaring for the NFL draft.
Okay, I just didn't know if his declaration affected that. I had not looked. So Dart is playing.
I don't know who's
Who is
quarterback
Duke playing
at
at
Duke. I don't know.
I mean, they've lost both their guys.
I would say that Dart said he was playing, and then he declared for the NFL, but I assume that he's playing.
Yeah.
I'll need to check that.
MM loves the under tonight. He thinks it's a phone booth fight. You've talked about the point spread flipping. How do you feel about a total play?
Again, Notre Dame, Georgia, this afternoon, 3 o'clock.
It does seem like that you would get more of a kind of feel it out, let our defense do this.
13-10 to me.
I could see something like that. I stayed away from the total. I do have a side on this.
Well, if you want to fade Dunaway, the only bet I have on this game is under 45. I made it yesterday when I thought the game was being played last night. So then play the over if you don't like my bet.
I would think the moving of the game makes an under even more likely to me. I don't know if you think that plays into it at all. Like if you like the under last night, I think the weird circumstances here would lead even more to an under to me. I just think it's going to be.
Yeah, I kicked myself. The Alabama game the other day, I only had the under circled. And then I wake up and the number had gone to 16.5. And it's like, this thing is so out of whack. There is like no way Michigan can win this game the way the number is moving. And that's one of those, I've said it before, like sometimes you see these number movements, and I really do believe 2 out of 3 times they hit. So 65, 66%. But that was one of those that, 3 out of 4 times that game hit.
But just to show you how crazy it is, like you really liked the Michigan team total under, which was the right play, by the way. You just had no idea Alabama was literally going to hand them the football 3 times.
But I brought that up. I was like, the problem with playing one of these unders, like an under 13.5, is if you get a short field, which they got not 1, not 2, but 3 short fields.
And really short fields.
So, there's not much you can do in situations like that. That's why they call it gambling.
It looked like Alabama didn't know it was going to rain.
Why did they never change their cleats?
They did midway through the second quarter.
But why would you not change them in the first?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, was that asked to Kalen DeBoer in the post?
I didn't see I never saw it.
Because that's a legitimate question because Michigan was not falling.
I was about to say, I didn't see a Michigan player slip the entire game.
Nor did you see the Alabama defender slip. You only saw Jalen Milroe and
Ryan Williams.
So I don't know if they were just refusing to change cleats. They like their cleats.
And I understand that, but I mean, if you can't stay up, you got to figure something out. And it's not like the old twist in, twist out. These are molded cleats. You're having to physically change shoes at this point.
But the perception was, which is why it needs to be, if it was asked and answered, I need to find out, because the perception was that this was another, first year new coach, and they don't have all the T's crossed and the I's dotted. Do they not have the right cleats down there with them? Are they not as
See, I don't even think
every cleat in the building.
I don't even think that makes it to the head coach. I mean, that's where I don't know who Alabama's equipment manager is, but we're talking about Alabama football. Yeah. They probably had cleats for days down there. Why nobody ever changed?
I wasn't on this trip. I will know that in the trips I've been on previous of this, not only did they take every cleat they had in the building on the road, they took the weight room on the road.
That's right. For a bowl game.
When they would go to Orange Beach and Pasadena, they took a physical weight room on the road with them.
It's one thing if you go to California, you expect 99.9% of the time you're not going to have any inclement weather. When you go to Florida,
100% of the time,
unpredicted storms like you had. It happens all the time.
So that was not in the forecast, the rain? By the way, it started pregame. I mean, it was raining in their pregame warm-ups. They had plenty of time to say, all right, it's raining.
It's going to be wet.
The field might be slick.
It became a monsoon at one point.
It did. It did. That last turnover, like Lance was talking about, we were at walk-ons. He walked in, he goes, what happened? I was like, it was like a 30-second absolute monsoon. For 30 seconds when Milroe turned it over.
It was like God was a Michigan fan.
No, it literally.
Or an Auburn fan.
He turns it over, it goes to review, they hold it up, and the sun comes out, and Michigan gets the ball. And I'm like, it was a complete monsoon.
Let's do our spotlight, because I think a couple of people changed their perception yesterday. Hit the button, Tyler.
The College Football Spotlight.
McCurry Van and Car Rental brings you the spotlight. Rent from McCurry Van and Car Rental. You can depend on them for the trucks, SUVs, passenger vans, cars. They make it easy to rent. You get in and out fast. Athens, Muscle Shoals, Huntsville, Coleman on 2nd Avenue Northwest, Skyland Boulevard on Tuscaloosa. Reserve your rental today. 256-559-1003. That's 256-559-1003 or McCurryRentals.com.
Honesty, didn't like Kenny Dillingham. Most I saw him was
the BYU clock situation.
BYU when he was going off. He was cussing the referee.
Dropping F-bombs on him.
Yeah, didn't like him. Loved the guy yesterday, even the way he handled Scatterboo and is vomiting, and he kept checking with him every time he went out. Honest to goodness, I think if Scatterboo at one point said I can't go, he would have shut him down. The bad no targeting call, I thought he handled that perfectly well. And then after the game, I mean, he goes and some guys were going straight to the locker room. He ran first to keep them from going to the locker room and made them come back out and shake the hands, teaching them a lesson. And then afterwards, he says this about this loss. Can I have started over for me, Tyler? Kenny Dillingham after the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl loss.
To be honest, it's all on me. We're in a cover zero look. Late in the play clock, Ewers did a phenomenal job checking out, recognizing the cover zero look, checking into a max pro, and I didn't have the ability to get out of it, and that's on me. So we left our guys ISO'd in cover zero into a max pro there. I gotta go into that game with an ability to get out of that call, and like I said, there's a lot of things that I got to do better to help our guys to win a football game. That's one of the many things that, as I reflect, I got to be better because our guys played good enough to win. Our guys battled good enough to win. And, this game's 100% on me.
The only the thing about him, and I'm with you, Jim, I like from that BYU game on, everything I've seen out of Dillingham I like. You got to give the guy credit for taking a team that was picked dead last in the Big 12 and making the college football playoff and taking Texas to overtime, double overtime.
Yeah.
Especially down 14-3. That game was over.
Yeah, your team never packed it in. Not one time did they pack it in.
Before you finish that thought, the reason I played that soundbite, other than Forrester gave it to me, was making a point out. He says, I didn't get us out of the cover zero.
Right. He's an offensive guy. Yeah.
His background is offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, tight end coach. Nowhere has he ever been on the defensive side of the ball.
That's right. Didn't blame his coordinator. I don't know why they had us in that look.
Yeah. I didn't get us out of that look.
Yeah.
I'm the head coach. I didn't get us out of the look. Didn't say anything about the defensive coordinator or anything.
Now, the next step for him is, can he back this up? And all I would say is he just played this season with the only two players I would 100% say that played at Arizona State that I know are better are Jake the Snake Plummer and Terrell Suggs. You may think of another one, Lance.
I think the injured wide receiver Jordan Tracy will be an NFL guy.
Maybe so. Jordan Tyson.
Yeah, Jordan Tyson.
But I'm just saying I'm saying he played with one of the greatest players that's ever played at that school.
Yeah.
I mean, Plummer better, Terrell Suggs better.
I would say Suggs. I don't even know about Plummer.
You don't even know about Jake the Snake. Boy, he got a lot of camera time.
He did.
Yesterday.
What about the injured fallen soldier? He was
Pat Tillman?
Yeah, he was good.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, he was really good.
He's a really good player. I don't know if he's better than Scatterboo. Even if he is, just top 5 player in school history you just did this with. So that's, I'm not doubting this. Well, I guess I am kind of doubting him.
Yeah.
I'm going to need to see him without a generational player.
5-year contract extension.
Good for him.
Before that,
and he's earned every dime of that. He ought to get it. But I'm just saying, is this a flash in the pan? Do we ever see Kenny Dillingham in this situation again? I don't know. He's got to do it.
I was pulling hard for them at the end of the game, but, looking back, it is good we've got Texas against Ohio State, Arizona State, Ohio State.
Probably would be a bloodbath.
Oh, I don't know if Texas can stay on the field with them. I'm
don't
certain
either.
Arizona State
It's just so funny. Before kick yesterday, Texas is your favorite in Vegas to, win the national championship. They were a 2 or 3 point favorite against Ohio State. And then after watching both of those games, you saw what that number did. Now it's Ohio State 7.
They're favored by 7 over 6. And they're the odds-on favorite to win the whole thing, right?
Now cut number 9. Dan Lanning, love him or hate him, had every opportunity to go into the Rose Bowl postgame and start making excuses about why do we have to play Ohio State in this round? Why, the layoff, blah, 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 blah. Dan Lanning did not do that. Here he is.
Your thoughts on just how the long layoff between games between now and the Big Ten championship game impacted the guys in terms of how the game started?
Yeah, I think that's an excuse. I thought our guys prepared well going in. Obviously, they had a better plan than us, but that's an excuse. That's an opportunity that we had to recharge. I thought our guys did practice well. I'd tell you if that wasn't the case. I thought they had great focus. I just don't think our plan was good enough, and I think they had a great plan to attack us. So credit to those guys.
Yeah, but didn't make an excuse at all.
I don't think coaches will want the bye next year. after watching this first year. I think given the choice of playing on campus or getting a bye, I think they'll all want
And
to
I
play
don't
on
think
campus.
you can make it. You were down 34-0.
Yeah.
No, there's no excuse.
Yeah.
And I really don't think it had to do with the layoff. But I definitely didn't want to hear him go in there and say,
I
man,
agree.
You know,
Look, if you watched it, and that was what was so amazing to me. People are like, why is Ohio State favored? Well, because they're a better team. Go back to October. Like, everything broke right in that game for Oregon, and they won by a point, and Ohio State had ball in hand.
Yeah. Running backs, they couldn't get them going. They had some injury at that position. Dylan Gabriel couldn't scramble out of the pass rush. They did a good job of containing him while they were sacking him 8 times.
Now, I'm not going to say the bye was the reason that Arizona State and Boise lost. They were playing better teams. But I am going to say, you have to admit, we've seen 3 out of 4. We won't see the other one until this afternoon. The non-bye teams have started the game far crisper.
Right.
I mean, Penn State was on point to start the game.
Yeah.
Genty was fumbling the football.
And I might be wrong on this, but I do think the bye is going to help Georgia.
Maybe it will.
We'll see. But if Notre Dame wins today, to your point, Brownie, the home team, first-round team, will be 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
They would have won both of the games. They will be your Final Four. Would be the first-round home teams. No bye winners and no road game first-round teams made it to the Final Four.
And it's hard to judge on this bye thing because Arizona State and Boise State were such big underdogs. But Arizona State did not start crisp. Texas did. Boise did not start crisp. Penn State did. Oregon last night was a mess, and Ohio State looked like a machine.
Oh, these games should have been bigger blowouts.
Yeah.
Penn State should have been up 21-0. When they fumbled it away up 14-0.
Yeah, they're driving to.
I mean, that thing was going to be
a
a complete disaster for Boise State. Back to Ohio State. Scary thing about them is now you found both Judkins and Henderson are effectively running the football. Howard is playing flawless football. Jeremiah Smith you can't cover the guy, and their defense is completely swarming and getting after the quarterback.
Yep.
It's all come together right now. Look, it could completely fall apart next week, but the way they're playing right now is scary.
And they're doing it with the landmine. I picked them to win the national championship back in August, and finally they're starting to look the part. Brownie, on what you're talking about, though, Miss Frida Williams, who taught me high school science, would tell you we haven't had enough runs of the test model to make it a trend.
But I will say, what did we all say about Texas? Boy, what a good draw is the 5 seed.
Yep.
That's where you want to be, really, is be the 5 seed, right?
Good place to be right now.
Well, I mean, it almost didn't help them.
Penn State had the best.
Penn State's journey has been pretty good.
That's
too.
right. I mean, Texas, as the 5 seed, my point is, they had the toughest of the on-campus first-round games. And maybe this is just more about Texas. Maybe Texas is just not as good as I thought they were, right? I mean, Clemson made that a one-possession game in the fourth quarter. And then they had to go double overtime to win their second game. Like, we talked about Texas, like, they're in a better spot than just about anybody, and they have barely survived 2 now.
Yeah, Texas has a problem of starting off really good and for some reason going into a shell and then having to try to win it at the end.
Yeah, I think they thought that game was over yesterday.
Yeah, I did too. Should have
well,
been.
I mean, I think we all did.
Should have been. All right, trash, and then we'll end the show with some more thoughts from Jalen Milroe and Tyler Booker on the end of their Alabama careers. For Booker for sure, Milroe probably. That coming up on the end of the show. Show that's being brought to you today in part by our friends at Champy's Chicken, Champy's world-famous fried chicken right there on Highway 119 in Alabaster. They always bring you the final hour of the show right here, and that's where we are right now. Don't forget that fried chicken is brined overnight and cooked to order. I'm a big 2-breast guy. It is the Great Southern Fried Chicken, the great Southern sides you get there, including the baked beans that Tyler loves. Great desserts that are made in-house, but the Mississippi Delta recipe tamales are a great way to start off the appetizers there. It's all right there at Champy's Chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster.
Call the next round now at 205-734-0923.
Bright Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
The beauty of the holiday is at the center of your table with the New York Butcher Shop. Their selection of USDA certified Angus prime rib roast, beef tenderloins, and fillets, as well as premium pork and lamb cuts, are the finest selections available in the market and are hand-cut just the way you want. With side dishes handmade by their professional chefs, your holiday meal is complete. Visit one of their 2 locations today in Cahaba Heights or off Highway 119 in Greystone. Place your order today. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well done service.
Let's face it, a home is one of the most powerful assets you can have, and our friends at Mortgage Right want to help you build wealth through home ownership. Mortgage Right is all about providing competitive rates, a variety of loan products, and a multitude of resources for a seamless home buying experience. They treat their borrowers like family and are always looking to bring more happy homeowners under their roof. See more by visiting mortgageright.com/TNR today and start living. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239, equal housing lender.
Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemp Hill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemp Hill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemp Hill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Done away, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of done away is standing by ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
From the creators of The Next Round comes two new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. Two team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
Happy football season. At the Next Round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant Denny or Jordan Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out TheBarnAuburn.com and CoverCrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to Fall Saturdays.
Hey, before we get to trash, this part of the show is being brought to you today by our friends at Hemp Hill Services. Tell us about Hemp Hill, LT.
I just had to text our man Andrew in break there. Got a little situation going on, but hey, if you experience any of these plumbing, heating, or cooling issues in your home or business, they are ready to serve you. What, is it going to be in the 20s next week?
Yeah, it's going to be a cold snap. You're going to want to make sure that heat's kicking for you.
Dude, I was out back by the fire pit last night, and it got a little too cold last night. I was like, I can't even imagine this in a week.
Below freezing when you woke up today, below freezing tomorrow, and at some point we'll get to a spell that will be from Siberia, air from Siberia.
Yeah, they are saying one of the coldest for central United States. So it's not just Alabama, but like this certain area in 25 years. One of the coldest stretches in 25 years.
There you go. You need to make sure the heating is ready to keep up with this changing weather. 205-229-2090. Hard to stop a train. Trust the name Birmingham's trust since 1954 for all of these issues. Call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys there. Tell them the Next Round sent you. For more information, hemphillservices.com.
And go ahead and get some non-perishable items, like
bread and milk.
Go ahead and get your bread and freeze it.
Those actually perish.
Yeah.
Bread and milk.
Yeah, you can freeze a loaf of bread.
I guess you can freeze milk.
Yeah. Anyway, get some of that stuff, and so we don't all go get it at the same time.
Are we gonna have snow?
Well,
it's too early to tell.
All the reliable. So apparently the snow portion of this is like the 9th or 10th, and almost any of the meteorologists from James Spann to Stephanie
Not
Walker,
comfortable going that far out.
Well, they say you can't. They're like, you can't give any sort of it's just a wild guess.
10 days is a stretch.
Yeah.
7 days is when you really start to focus.
Yeah.
It in.
But if we're going to have cold weather for that long, you've got to figure
about a 12-day period where we may not get above freezing.
Okay, that we're going to get some downfall.
I do not live in Alabama for those temperatures.
Me either. I don't like it when it's as cold as it is right now.
No.
NFL news. Saquon Barkley likely is what is being said today to sit and not chase the record 101 yards shy of the Eric Dickerson record. Right call or not?
I'm going to say selfishly wrong call. I go back to my man Dan Campbell played everybody. It was a meaningless game this past Monday night. Cost me a cover with San Francisco. A lot of people could have gotten injured there. Look, the Rams are going to take it really easy. Matt Stafford, Jimmy Garoppolo will get to start this Sunday, but there's just something about a record like that is stood since the 80s.
But if he plays, that means your starting offensive line has to play.
You need to, if you're really wanting him to get the record.
I don't know. I mean, you say that, but at the same time, like, this is the New York Giants you're talking about.
They were good enough to beat Indianapolis in a must-win for the Colts last week, but you're right.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see him play. I get the reason he is not going to play. I'm more fascinated like Philadelphia fans.
Sirianni said he talked with Barkley. Saquon has said, I want to play for bigger things than just that record. He seems to be okay with it. The whole organization, his teammates seem to be okay because it is a team honor.
Yeah, and this is the way, though, that the question should be answered. What is better for your team? Ensuring that Saquon Barkley is 100% healthy for the playoffs or getting Saquon Barkley the all-time rusher?
Well, you know what the answer is.
So there's your answer. I mean, that's if you're Sirianni and you ask the question that way,
okay,
that's your answer.
Let me ask you guys, if you're a Philadelphia fan, though.
I'd rather see him sit because I'd be scared to death every time he touched the ball.
No, I'm in to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't care anything about my guys getting personal records.
Yeah.
Honestly, I do not.
Yeah, me either.
Like if you told me I will hope one day the Dolphins are in this situation. Tua could go for the single-season passing record, but we got nothing to gain. Sit him, especially Tua.
I get it, but the biggest record in football, this is kind of like the home run chase we saw back in the day with Sosa and McGuire and then ultimately Bonds. I mean, to me, the biggest single record in the NFL is the single rushing. Do you disagree with that?
I don't disagree that is what it is in football. I will tell you that football to me is not a record-based sport.
It's more
for some
baseball.
reason. Like
It is
baseball.
more baseball. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Like I don't watch football and think about, oh man, what a record that is.
Yeah, again, I think the Eagles probably doing the right thing selfishly. I would be all in Sunday at noon if he was playing against New York.
Like Genty came up 27 yards short at the end. Instead of throwing to try to get a quick touchdown, they were handing it off to him a couple of times.
They were trying to get him the record.
I liked what they were doing there. They had no shot of coming back, so why not let him try to break one off?
Tua not playing, not expected to play this week? Or
it looks like Snoop Huntley.
him?
I mean, they were preparing for Snoop Huntley to be the starter, and that point spreads all the way down to Miami only favored 1 over the Jets, and an absolute must-win for Miami. They still have to have help. They need Kansas City, who's starting all their backups, to beat Denver, and I think Kansas City's 11-point underdog in that game right now.
Yeah.
They're being played at
And
Denver.
you guys are going to end up getting the 3 seed. We're going to get the 4 seed.
Is that how that's going to go?
We're having to play to win.
Yep.
And if we win, we jump up ahead of you.
If we lose.
If you lose,
and y'all are
with your
playing
backups.
nobody. Y'all are playing backups.
Playing backups against Seattle. We're a 6.5-point dog now. You guys are like a 13.5-point favorite. So I fully expect Tampa to win and get the 3 seed. The Rams are going to get the 4 seed.
That's going to be the difference in getting the Minnesota-Detroit loser and
or Philadelphia.
No, or the Commanders.
Or the Commanders.
No.
Commanders, that's
you
tough
guys,
call right now.
I'd rather have the Commanders than the loser. I kind of want Detroit, though, because Rams have already beaten Minnesota. I think Detroit, where they are right now, run some of them 4th downs in SoFi and see what happens.
All right, and this could be Aaron Rodgers' final game ever against not against the Dolphins, but final game ever. He is talking like a guy. Just want to soak it in. Doesn't want to talk about his future. This could be it. I definitely believe it's it in New York. Could be it overall.
I think it's it overall, just because you don't know what you're going to get. Rodgers, when he was in Green Bay, year in, year out, whether or not he was going to win a championship, you were still going to win 12 or 13 games. He was going to put up massive numbers. Now he's kind of lost control of the whole situation. So I don't, if Minnesota was like, hey, we're going to bring you in on a 1-year deal if you'll take a $20 million pay cut, and we're going to let J.J. McCarthy learn one more year behind a guy like you, and maybe take a look at that.
That would be something. All right, trash time, and then we'll end with Alabama conversation after their loss to Michigan. Spin that wheel, Tyler.
Congratulations, the Cure Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees 2019. Are you as excited as I am?
By the sounds of it, no.
LT's Trash is presented by Mortgage Right. Mortgages done the right way.
Hey, always buying season. Our friends at Mortgage Right here to help. Veteran founded here in Birmingham. Offer loans throughout the country. While the area they serve may have grown, their commitment to Birmingham and veterans has not changed. Before you take the next steps on a new home purchase or refinance, talk with the team at Mortgage Right. No cost or obligation to find out what you qualify for. Get more information, go to their website, mortgageright.com. Call 205-900-7200, NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender. Brown, offbeat holidays in January.
Man, I love these. I love these things.
Let's do that every time in 2025.
If you say it, I'm not going to.
No, I am sorry that I said it.
Right.
Apology 2025. What was one of my goals? Number 2, less avoid the drama.
Avoid the drama. Okay.
Can I avoid the drama by saying I too like these?
Yeah, we both.
Okay,
love
I'm going to go on and say these are the most random offbeat holidays I've seen in a month.
Okay.
Fair, Tyler?
These are pretty weird.
Well, we've just gone through Christmas and New Year's, so it's going to be a letdown.
Okay, so today, January 2nd, is Run It Up the Flagpole and See If Anyone Salutes It Day.
So that is like throw out an idea to see if it gets approved?
First day back in the office.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. First day of the new year. Let's throw out some big ideas here and see if anybody salutes.
I took that one literally.
Oh,
so.
You thought they actually...
Yeah, like it's some day where it's just like, let's see if this flag works.
January 3rd, Fruitcake Toss Day.
Yeah, you didn't eat it, so throw it out.
Yep.
I've never had it. I've never had it. That's a running gag that I don't think really exists. People don't really give fruitcakes.
I remember Aunt Frances had fruitcakes.
Did she?
Yeah. Never tried them.
I've never eaten one. They look like they'd be awful.
January 11th, Tyler, have you done this? Learn your name in Morse Code Day?
I think I used to.
Of course you did.
There was like
there
was like some sort of thing in Scouts for that.
Yeah.
But I don't remember.
Were you an Eagle Scout?
I was a Cub Scout.
So Weeblo?
Yeah, you barely. Yeah, that's the single A. You were in single A.
But at one point, we all learned how to do SOS. Does anybody remember how to do SOS?
I never learned how to do it.
I don't know.
A Morse code you learned how to? Like knocking?
Like you had to in like 5th grade or something.
No, I didn't. Oh,
Melton
or Tyler?
Well, Dunaway was back in the race for the moon, right?
Yeah, I mean, we needed to know in case we had Red Dawn happening.
Yeah. Melton, did you learn it?
Morse code in school?
No, absolutely not.
Tyler?
No.
We learned the recorder. We played the recorder.
Oh, yeah. I could play hot cross buns on the plastic recorder.
Okay, we'll
we
back
never
up.
had a recorder.
Give us SOS.
Yeah, how do you do it?
I don't remember it. But we had to learn how to do SOS. And
Duck
then
and cover.
Yeah, we had to do get under our wooden desk in case of a nuclear attack.
Yeah.
I was watching.
Never made sense. I was like, oh, this desk.
At least now your desk is better. You have a better desk. You've upgraded in that department.
I saw this video about President Carter after he passed over the weekend. That was the weekend. I'm still confused by this. After he passed. And it was showing his acceptance speech, or his speech after President Reagan beat him in the 1980 election. And he goes, I just sent President Reagan the following telegram. And I'm like, we were still sending telegrams in 1980? Does that surprise you a little bit? Really?
Dude, I remember.
Congratulations. Stop.
Early on my sophomore year in college, these handicappers would put out flyers, and it'd be call this number, and we would call this number, and this dude would be in like New Jersey or Miami. He'd be like, okay, I need you to wire me $100.
That was
Western
a MoneyGram.
Union.
Yeah, the old MoneyGram.
Yeah, but still, I mean, how long ago does
I
that
know.
seem?
I remember
Wire me
the MoneyGram.
$100
Yeah.
and we got the plays for
It
you.
was Western Union, though.
It was Western Union.
But
when I got scammed for my student loan when I was in Lexington and basically gave them my whole paycheck, I had to get mom to Western Union to make some money in Lexington.
We would have to go to that Bruno's on McFarland. Was it McFarland? I guess it was.
Yeah. I know what you're talking
Bruno's
about.
on McFarland to use Western Union.
Use Western Union. I just couldn't believe we were still sending telegrams in 1980.
Amazing. January 13th, Make Your Dreams Come True Day.
Sounds very Disney.
January 16th, This Is Stupid Nothing Day.
Is that a weekend?
It's under do nothing.
2 weeks from
2 weeks today. Yeah.
Well, we need to take over January 16th then, and that,
Make it something day.
I did sound like I was saying insurrection, but I'm not. We need to take over January 16th and make that our day and come up with something that day, something that's not celebrated another time, like cake balls. I don't know. Just find something we like and make that January 16th.
January 22nd, hot sauce day.
I do love hot sauce. I had some Cholula last night with my wife made taco soup.
Yeah, the coolest hot sauce place, and this is back in the day, there's so many hot sauces available, but back Riverwalk in New Orleans, they had that kind of outside mall where they had one place that just specialized in hot sauces.
I remember that, yeah.
And you go by and you try, you could dip a pretzel in it, and they had everything.
Yeah. Cholula is my favorite.
Mine too. I'm anti-Tabasco.
I don't hate Tabasco, but Cholula is the one I use the most.
Me too.
Frank's used to be a sponsor way back in the day, and so they sent me 2 cases.
Mm-hmm. Still got
this is back before the three of us were doing a show. But, I mean, you think about 3 cases of Frank's, it lasted forever.
Oh, I would imagine, yeah. Because I'll go through a bottle of Cholula. It'll take me several months to get through that all the way.
January 22nd also is Answer Your Cat's Questions Day.
I don't have a cat.
I don't even like cats.
I really don't either. Yeah, that's gonna be a quick day for me.
January 25th is Opposite Day.
I remember doing that in elementary school. It's Opposite Day.
And January 31st, Backwards Day. Crisscross, shout out.
I remember that. We used to have to wear our clothes backwards that day.
California police discovered a monkey traveling in a Rolls-Royce Ghost.
Yeah.
When they stopped the vehicle on suspicion of drunk driving.
Just a monkey.
CHP officers stopped the luxury vehicle for, quote, traveling at an excessive speed on Highway 99 on Monday night. The driver, we'll just call him Ali. I'm not even going to try his last name, was detained for driving under the influence, possession of cannabis for sale. Before his arrest, police found the adorable 1-month-old spider monkey wearing a pink polka-dotted shirt in the reckless driver's jacket pocket. There's the monkey right there, by the way. Boy, its front claws, man, those look kind of intimidating.
Yeah, it looks like it'd screw you up a little bit. Oh, that's long fingers, too.
I do not trust a monkey.
A small monkey was taken by animal control to receive proper care. Dude was booked into the county jail. CHP released a statement, quote, "With New Year's in a few hours, they are reminding everyone to celebrate the proper way."
Yes, you should.
That Rolls Royce, by the way, do you have a picture of the ghost? $400,000 is what it's valued at. It was towed. Yeah, there it is.
Towed?
Yeah, $400,000. How about that?
I've never really desired a Rolls Royce. Have
Me
you?
either.
No.
Actually, I don't think they look that good.
Never really wanted to be on the cover of Rolling Stone.
I mean, I would love for somebody to be my driver and I just sit in the back of a Rolls.
Sure,
but
I would do that.
It looks more fun to ride in a Rolls Royce with the stars in the ceiling and everything like that than it does to drive a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Tyler.
Man, this story is just, I don't even know where to. Pizza delivery driver was arrested, taken to county jail after allegedly stabbing a pregnant woman multiple times over a small tip.
Now, I'm surprised, as Tyler shows us the mugshot, it's a female. I was going to go male in this.
Brianna Alvelo, 22, of Kissimmee, was arrested Monday, faces charges of kidnapping, home invasion, and aggravated assault, also charged under the same statute that covers premeditated murder. Incident happened on Sunday around 11:47 p.m. at the Riviera Motel in Kissimmee. Deputies found the victim, Melinda Izari, in a hotel room with multiple stab wounds to her chest, arms, legs, and abdomen, according to an arrest warrant.
That's attempted murder, in my opinion.
She was rushed to a hospital where she underwent surgery for a punctured lung, several tendons in her knee. She had been stabbed 14 times. Now, at the hospital, it was discovered that she wasn't just at risk for losing her life. She was also a month pregnant.
Oh, man.
According to investigators, her boyfriend and her 5-year-old daughter were staying at the hotel to celebrate her boyfriend's birthday. They ordered food from a nearby Marco's Pizza. That's when this lady delivered it. In an exclusive interview, a victim told Fox 35 News that her food arrived extremely late. It was cold. Delivery driver was rude, so she only gave her a $2 tip. Later, she heard loud knocking, opened the door to find 2 suspects, including this woman, forcing their way inside. Both were dressed in black and wore face masks. Authorities said this lady, Avello, was armed with a knife. The male suspect had a gun. Male suspect pointed the gun at the victim and her daughter, then forced the boyfriend into the bathroom at gunpoint. That's when Alvelo allegedly began rummaging through the couple's belongings and then started stabbing the victim when she was shielding her daughter.
Oof.
It's a pizza, guys. It's a pizza.
It's a Marco's pizza. $2 on a Marco's is pretty darn good, I think.
Island.
Oh, really?
Island, 100%.
Yeah. And find a boyfriend or assailant.
Okay, we are getting really, really lazy in society. Remember that one teacher who made going to school fun, inspired you to pursue your passions? I really don't, but there are some of those out there.
Martha Wall.
Okay.
Frida Williams.
Yeah.
Students at a new charter school in Arizona won't because they don't get to have teachers. Instead, the 2 hours of academic instruction they receive each day, yes, 2 hours, just 2 hours, will be directed entirely by AI. Arizona State Board for Charter Schools on Monday approved an application for Unbound Academy to open fully online schools serving grades 4 through 8. Unbound already operates a private school that uses AI-dependent 2-hour learning model in Texas, currently applying to open similar schools in Arkansas and Utah. Under the 2-hour learning model, students spend just 2 hours a day using personalized learning programs from companies like IXL and Khan Academy. Quote, as students work through their lessons on subjects like math, reading, and science, the AI system will analyze their responses, time spent on task, and even emotional cues to optimize the difficulty of presentation and presenting content.
So 2 observations from the photo. First of all, the actual teacher looks like Julius Caesar.
Yep.
Oh, on the far right.
Yep,
And also, if you notice, the kids are around the computer so much, the AI so much, that they're starting to look like the AI.
Yeah. And
like
how
that
about
one little girl right there looks like the
She's
AI.
only got one eye.
Yeah, it's a Cyclops.
She's got one eye, and the second boy on the left's got no arms or legs. Like, I don't know what we're doing. Oh.
Oh, no.
No. So look,
She's back.
The little kid in the white shirt there, Tyler. Second one on the left. No. From right there. No arms or legs. Like, I think the artist just mailed this one in, guys.
Well, I mean, the Cyclops freaks me out a little bit
Yeah,
more.
I did not notice that. I was fixated on the kid with no arms or legs.
Dude, and they got my handwriting on the boards behind them. Look.
Yeah. I mean, poor kids. We got to do better, America.
A lot not to like about this story, Lance.
I mean, what's worse, AI teaching, or they're only going 2 hours a day?
Well, I mean, if we get a lot done in 2 hours.
I'd sign up for 2 hours a day of school.
Yeah. I mean.
You think a parent's going to sign up for 2 hours a day?
No. You keep them kids as long as you can.
I mean, the chat tried to tell us. I mean, we were doing 4 hours, and now we're only doing 3 hours. And
that's right.
We cut that back in 2024.
Less productive.
I mean, one more hour, and we'll be to this classroom. AI can do the rest of the show at some point. That is Trash, brought to you by our friends at Mortgage Right.
Hey, if you're looking for a new home, our friends at Mortgage Right, here to help. Whether you're a first-time buyer or seasoned home buying veteran, their great service and low rates make the process easy. Whether you have a big down payment or need 100% financing, whether you're looking for your final home or first home, Mortgage Right, one-stop shop for mortgages, 205-900-7200 or mortgageright.com.
And our DanielMooreArt.com dash to the finish. We'll hear from Tyler Booker and Jalen Milroe here after the loss to Michigan. The Legend, a tribute to Coach Nick Saban, available to you right now if you go to DanielMooreArt.com. DanielMooreArt.com and get that print. You can also get the 2025 calendar with the great Daniel Moore prints over time in Alabama history. Always keep DanielMooreArt.com on your screen there so you can get updated on new releases or new pricing on some great history moments in Alabama football. It's all right there at DanielMooreArt.com. Tyler Booker, after the loss, gets asked to assess Kalen DeBoer's first season.
When you look at the whole body of work for the year, how would you evaluate DeBoer and staff, how they did?
They did a great job. I feel like the coach staff did a great job, and people are gonna probably laugh at me when I say that, but you gotta understand that their first act of duty when they got here was retaining a team, especially in the era of NIL and a bunch of guys left, but we also got a bunch of guys to come in. So to do all that, to have a great recruiting class that they just recruited in, and to go out here and really battle in the SEC for the first time is, I think they did a great job. It's obviously things that we could have done better as players, obviously things that they could have done better as coaches, but there's always going to be room for improvement top to bottom, and they'll be the first ones to tell you that. But I'm just very blessed to have had this coaching staff, and I'm glad that Coach DeBoer came here, and just a shout out to him, because it takes a certain amount of pride and a certain amount of confidence within oneself to come follow up the greatest coach of all time.
When he got here, he did have to retain that roster, and that was object number one, and get Ryan Williams and others to stay committed to Alabama. What do you think about what he just said?
Boy, we are biased because we know Tyler for the last couple of years, but man, you don't get a lot of guys like that. That can be a mouthpiece in a really positive way for a program. I mean, for him to say it out loud, I know people are going to think I'm crazy for saying this.
Right.
He knows. He kind of knows what the noise is out there.
But we know Book well enough. If he thought it was a complete and total disaster that had come all the way off the tracks, he was not going to say that.
He would be positive.
He would be positive.
He would be positive, but he would shorten his answer a little bit. So I think I think he does really respect Kalen DeBoer.
And then Jalen Milroe from our friends at ABC 3340 gets asked what it means to be the Alabama quarterback if that was his last game.
If this is your final game, what is it for Alabama? What does it mean to be the quarterback of Alabama?
It means a lot. I put everything on the line. Many hardships along the way, a lot of doubt, a lot of things along the process. But one thing is for certain is that I just remain faithful. I met a lot of great people along the way. It's truly an honor to wear the script day each and every Saturday, win or loss. I don't take it lightly at all. It's been an amazing journey just to see wearing the script day, being a leader, being a captain for this amazing football team. Along this journey, there's been a lot of eye-opening things that I've learned so much that's going to help me catapult me to anything that I want to achieve with being a quarterback at Alabama. And I'm truly honored, blessed, no matter what. No matter if we win every single game, no matter if we lost, I'm truly appreciative to play quarterback and play at the Division I level and be able to have the opportunity to play. That's what I take away beyond anything. And so I'm just truly honored, thankful, and just want to always give praise.
Jalen Milroe may be the last time as Alabama's quarterback. We may know more tomorrow.
We may. I think the announcement, one way or the other, will come soon. I did see somebody at halftime on Twitter say, I am currently a naysayer that would like to be let known. The second half.
I mean, do you guys think if he would have completely slayed Michigan, the decision would already be made?
Probably, if he looked like the best quarterback of the postseason so far.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think NFL teams are going to make their decision based on that one game. That's not what you're saying.
No, but I do think a lot of scouts probably watched that game and they're like,
it probably confirmed what they feared.
Yeah.
All right, more tomorrow on the show at 9 a.m. Central Time. Continue to send your thoughts and prayers to New Orleans, but as we did after Katrina and others, when you get a chance to go visit the great folks of New Orleans, don't let what happened at Bourbon Street keep you from going down there. Act of evil happens everywhere. We're back tomorrow. We'll react to Georgia and Notre Dame. Until next time, God bless you. God bless America.